Hello everybody and welcome to the GTR24 Sprint Series here from Laguna Seca. Apologies for the technical issues we've had tonight, and I don't think we're going to be able to get game sound. If we can actually fix it, then we will do, but at the moment it's not looking promising, I'm afraid. So you're just going to have to deal with our voices, apologies for the lack of game sound in this broadcast, but our voices, me being Ewan O'Leary, and I'm alongside Yusuf bin Sahel. Once again, we're halfway through this season now, Yusuf. The championship is kind of hotting up right now. A very exciting end to this season is coming up. Very much looking forward to it. What do you think is going to happen at Laguna Seca? To be honest, I said last week or 2 weeks ago at Suzuka that there wasn't going to be much overtaking because it's a difficult circuit to overtake. Now it's proved totally wrong. So what do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, well, if we go by how everything that we expected doesn't happen, my God, Laguna Seca is going to be full of overtakes. It's going to be the most exciting race of the season. And I'm just going to go out there on a whim and say it right up. It is the end of Burst Esport Simplicity's control of the standings. We're going to get Musto GD and Euronics on those top two steps. I'm going all out. That's my prediction right off the bat.
That's a bold prediction, but they did show last week at Suzuka, as you might have seen, that they're not indestructible by any means. They can make mistakes, even though they're the championship leaders, as we mentioned. They are definitely not invincible in this championship, and Musto really provided them with a big reality check almost. Last or 2 weeks ago down at Suzuka, they lost 10 points to the 71, did Burst Esport. And look, would you just look at the top of the standings right now? It's Amato and Henningsen separated by 4/10 of a second at the top of the timing sheets right now. And it's just showing how close these two teams are and how close they've been throughout this season, because it's been a season-long battle, and I'm sure it's going to continue into the second half as well.
Yeah, it has been an absolutely fantastic season so far, and I think Suzuka was a big reality check for the side of Burst Esport Simplicity, just because of how quickly Pierluca Amato and I believe it was Tim Yarsha were in qualifying. Those two, they were in a completely different league from everyone else. You know, we're talking over half a second quicker than I believe it was Casper Henningsen, who was at the wheel of the Burst Esport Simplicity car in qualifying. So let's see whether we see a similar scenario here in qualifying. Obviously 18 minutes still left, so a lot can change. And Ewan, your favorite topic, which is what cars are we seeing? We're finally seeing some BMWs on the track for, I think, the first time this season.
Yeah, it is the first time this season. Very excited to see that car out there. Very much like a new car on the grid. We've got a nice little mix of them, of course. Luca Burke is the most forward-most of the BMWs. There's two of them. John Munro is driving the other one down there in P number 11 at the moment for Rookie Monsters. I believe they're both... Oh, no, that's Matt Beavis. Where's John Munro? He's down in 12th at the moment, sorry. So just one place further down for Simply Racers Ancho. So, but it does look like a bit of a Porsche domination at the front of the field right now, doesn't it? With 9 cars out of the top 10 are Porsches at the moment. We saw a similar thing with Mercedes last week. Looks like we're going to see a similar thing to what we saw at the Hungaroring, where Porsche locked out the top 4 spaces by the end of the race. So I hope that some of the other manufacturers can get up there, but it's looking like a very good track for the Porsches at the moment.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, we saw a similar scenario in Hungary, and we expected to see the Porsches being strong here at Laguna Seca. Another tight, twisty circuit, arguably more tighter, more twistier than Hungary, with, less long straights. So fully expecting to see the Porsches at the front of the field, which they are. Simply Race and shows both the drivers going up for the BMWs, and it's a case of Hondas for the Butler Powell Motorsport team. So it's quite interesting to see that there are some teams exclusively going for a couple of, one manufacturers. Also seeing the Aston Martins getting picked up by a few drivers, Chris Vickers, Kyle Leikegaard, and Mr. Anderson, but they're struggling at the back of the field.
Yeah, they are, I'm afraid, at the moment. And I want to talk about this championship just for a moment. We've mentioned Burst Esport and we've mentioned Musto GD Esports already. They're separated by 25 points, as we mentioned earlier on. But when looking at the standings earlier, I was thinking that Euronics, AAA, the other Musto even, they're not out of this just yet. I know they are quite a long way down, but we've been selling this as a 2-horse race for now. But You know, 57 and the 87 have both shown that they have the pace. Now, I don't think that AAA are actually here today. I can't see Vromont or Barry at the moment, or indeed Haniel Sabzi drove for them earlier on in the season. So, but anyway, Euronics definitely looks strong. Tim Yarshall currently up there in second place, and he showed the pace last week. It was only one mistake that gave him a drive-through penalty, which meant that they couldn't take the win last week in Suzuka. So I wouldn't be counting Euronics out of this championship just yet. I think they've still got an outside chance. They need stuff to go wrong up front, that's for sure, but I don't think they're quite out of it just yet.
Yeah, and don't forget the second team of Musto GD, which is being piloted by Daniela Primavera. We've also got Michael O'Brien. He's up in fourth place for the Simply Racer team and locking out a top of 5 all Porsches. So I think the key thing, though, is Pierluca Amato being about half a second quicker than Tim Yarshall, which is an absolutely ridiculous amount, and kind of the top 4 are just in their own space right now.
Yeah, they are really. They're in a class of their own right now. I believe that Pierluca Amato, he is actually going to improve on his lap time now. A 21.0 from him. We're knocking on the door of a high 20 right now, which would be quite astonishing. But just look at that gap from first to second. It's over it is over 5 tenths. Yeah. That is a huge margin around such a short circuit.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic from Pierluca Amato, and Musto GD. They have been on absolute fire. They've been in top form for the last 2 race days, and sure, they didn't get any points at Bathurst, but they were leading the race, and arguably they should have won the race if it wasn't for a very unfortunate incident that did occur between them and I think it was a Butler Powell Motorsport team. So they came back strong. They got their first win of the season at Suzuka, and they're going to be looking to make it 2 in a row.
They are indeed, and it was a very well-deserved win indeed, but just taking it by 7 seconds in the end over Luca Schmidt, who was chasing down Pierluca Amato. We've seen that Musto guys really... That was a slide and a half, wasn't it? That was for I'm just watching Marko Pizic there, going for in the number 58, sorry. And now coming towards the final corner, he's just backed off, and he's going to try again. It looks like the difference with this circuit compared to any of the others is that this circuit is much shorter than the others in this calendar. Most of them are knocking on the door of around 2 minutes in terms of lap time. This is 1 minute 20, so you've got a lot of chances to get your lap time in, which it would be very good for some of these guys. And yeah, very much lots of good opportunities for them to get up the order and get their lap time in.
And speaking of getting up the order, look at Michael O'Brien up into second place. 1.5, but Pierluca Amato, he's still improving. He's into the 20s now, and I'm going to be honest with you, Ewan, I don't think anyone else is going to be able to get to the 20s as Tim Yarshall clips the curb on the left hand up the hill and sends himself wide into the gravel. He's going to reset back into the pits.
Yeah, no point in carrying on for him. We've seen that is going to be a bit of an action area. I'm going to predict, well, I can't really predict it anymore because it already has happened, but turn number 6, a very difficult corner. It's bordering high speed to medium speed kind of territory. But as we just saw there, if you clip that curb a little bit wrong, then you can be sent wide out there at turn 6, and the wall is not that far away. There's no runoff there at all. I know at Suzuka, you can kind of get away with it in some places with the runoff that they've retrospectively added in the previous decades, but here there's still no runoff really anywhere, so there's no room for error, especially down there at turn 6.
Yep, and Marco-Pay just goes quicker, 21.9. He's about 3 tenths down on Casper Henningsen, but it is enough for P5. And here at Laguna Seca, you do have a couple of hot points for overtakes, and you know, at a tight, twisty circuit like this Californian track, you need to make full use of those overtaking opportunities. Of course, at turn 2, the Andretti hairpin is the biggest place to find a move up into the corkscrew, another possible point, but don't underestimate how good the rainy curve can be. A lot of drivers will pull the car back out to the right hand side just to get the best line into the downhill left-hander, and it does mean that you can kind of just throw your car down the inside and force a move to stick.
Yeah, exactly. That is going to be a bit of an action area probably throughout this race. Yeah, we'll see if anyone goes for any brave moves, because it will have to be a brave one if you're going up the inside of turn number 9 there. And confusingly, by the way, just to mention on the corkscrew, obviously it's the iconic kind of portion of this race circuit, and the one that everybody knows about. When you mention Laguna Seca, everybody mentions the corkscrew. Yeah. But just looking at my corner names here, it's 10A and it's 8. And it's 8A, so I don't know what that's about, but that's what that means. The corkscrew. I'm just going to stick to the corkscrew, to be honest, and rather than 10 and 10A. It's just a bit stupid, but you know, we're in America, we're in California, so anything goes.
Wow.
But yeah, wow indeed. Pierluca Amato then he's actually improved again. Just about 90 seconds ago, he's improved to a 20.8. He's 7 tenths quicker than anybody else right now, and that is astonishing.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. Tim Yarshall, he's just gone up to P3, 21.597, less than 200 shy of Michael O'Brien, but still, nobody is anywhere near Musto GD. And what did we say at the start of the show? Musto GD, they're on a different planet right now. They've been so quick on the last 2 race days, and they're carrying this form here in California.
They definitely are, and it's going really well for them right now. They're currently on the top of the leaderboard. Daniele Primavera in the other one is down there in 6th at the moment, but only 1/10 behind Marco Pizic, so just a slight improvement will allow him to get up the order. Now, one of the Hondas, or both Hondas, are being run by Butler Powell Motorsport throughout this event. It's going to be Richard Schaefer who's coming up towards the final corner right now, and he's on a bit of an improvement on his lap time right now. I think he'll be able to move up into 12th position past Matt Beavis if he can really get a move on down the front straight right now. Comes over the line as we speak, and he does improve, but he can't improve on his position, I'm afraid. Still 13th, and yeah, the Honda doesn't look like the most convincing choice of car just yet, but it may come into its own in the race. We've seen that before, and we may well see it again.
Yep, John Monroe also on a decent lap. He's a 10th up on his personal best, currently sitting down in 7th place, so a good lap here could see him jump ahead of Daniele Primavera's Musto, maybe ahead of Marco Pajic if he can absolutely nail the final sector, but he's got a bit of traffic ahead. Is one of the Hondas, that's Philip Matzik, and I don't know if that's really going to cost John Monroe time. We'll have to see when he does come across the line, which will be shortly. Oh, no, never mind, he's backed out, so clearly he's not happy with that lap.
Yeah, he got, so I don't know if he got slightly blocked there or not. It definitely seemed like there was someone in the way, but I don't know if he was on an improvement. I think he might have been, but it was only marginal anyway. So yeah, unfortunately we'll never know how he would have got on there. So Casper Henningsen at the moment, 4th position for him. Burst Esport currently championship leaders, but as we saw last week, being only 4th can get you in a lot of trouble. Simon Crane just goes off the road there at turn number 5, and that wasn't great for him. But yeah, Casper Henningsen can be known to make. He's actually just pulled off there. He improved on his lap time just there, but he's not really getting into that top 3. He's not looking particularly threatening to get into it either, so they're in a difficult situation right now, because that could be a bit of a trouble zone into turn number 1 on the first lap, because yeah, starting anywhere other than the front row is almost bound to get you or at least bound to get your nerves up at least, so he'll want to improve on his lap time for sure.
Yeah, Tim Yarshall was just on a hot lap as well. He put in a 21.612, so just a little bit shy of his personal best. We're talking a couple of hundredths, and it is super close in this battle for second. Michael O'Brien leading Tim Yarshall, and a championship the leader Casper Henningsen from Burst Esport in Black City.
It's all very close up the front of the fit. Well, if you take Pierluca Amato, it's close, but he seems to be on another planet right now. It's 2nd to 11th right now. It's separated by just 8 tenths of a second. So Pierluca Amato's spoiling that stat ever so slightly, but yeah, behind that, it's going to be an incredible race here, because the spread of the field is very, very close. And I just can't believe, I can't get over that time from Amato, because he's 7 tenths up. It's one of the shortest circuit, if not the shortest circuit we go to on this calendar. So it just makes it even more outrageous. But yeah, I promise to stop going on about it now, because we do know he's quick anyway, and they're not second in the championship by accident. Let's just say that.
Yeah. And I'll just continue on that point in a second. Tim Yarshall, he's on a quick lap. What will it be across the line? He's a 10th up at the moment. 21.435, and it's going to be enough for P2, but going on with what you were saying, Ewan, this circuit is the shortest track on the calendar, is one of the tightest tracks on the calendar, and that brings up something else that is going to, I feel, significantly impact the course of the race, and that is back markers. And, you know, we've heard race director Nick Newcomb coming over on the team's radio numerous times with reports about drivers not obeying blue flags. Here at Laguna, it's going to be very tricky for drivers to navigate through the back markers, and it's going to be tricky for the back markers to let the leading cars through. And I actually think an early pit stop, so we're talking about the 50-minute point, might be the better idea, just so that you can try to leapfrog some back markers in the process, and you know, you don't end up trying to navigate your way through back markers who have gone into the pits and come out right in front of you.
Yeah, that is a good point, because we're squashing roughly the same amount. We've got a couple less for tonight, 18, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen right now. We've had a few more in the past, but we've got 18 at the moment. And we're squashing them on 40 seconds worth less of racetrack than we normally would. The standard lap time for this series really is around 2 minutes, or maybe a little bit less than that, or maybe a little bit more, but it's around about 2 minutes if you just want a ballpark figure. We're doing 1 minute 20s right now, just over that, so we're squashing the same amount of cars, as I said, on 40 seconds less of track, which is interesting. Or it will be anyway, because we've seen backmarker issues in the past, as you say, and we're probably going to see them again, and that's just a part of racing, really. It's a part of GT3 racing, and the fact that you don't have to get out of the way as soon as a backmarker, or as soon as a front runner, sorry, is even in sight of you, I think that makes it much more interesting than when you have to jump out the way when they get vaguely close.
Yeah, and it's all just a judgment call, really, to kind of think, okay, how close is someone to you? Because at the end of the day, the backmarkers, they don't want to hold up the leaders. They just don't want their own race to get negatively affected, and it's all about finding that right point. And, you know, the best kind of point would be maybe to pull over before the corkscrew, allow someone through their final corner and into turn one. And again, it's those overtaking hotspots where you can just kind of back off. They're slow corners anyway, so as a result, you don't lose a massive amount of time if you let someone through at those points. We just saw a decent lap coming through. I believe that was John Monroe who improved, went up into 7th place with a 21.75. So still super close in this battle for 2nd place. We're talking about 3/10 separating 6 drivers.
Yeah, it's all getting very, very close indeed. It's thousandths of a second of separating some of those guys in that region right now. Tim Yarshall is kind of heading a bit of a group that's very close. We're just about 3 minutes from the end of this qualifying session right now, and then we'll get into our 2-hour race, of course, where these guys have to make one stop. Well, they don't have to make a stop, but I can't remember if they do or not, but they're going to want to, and they're going to change a driver as well, of course, so,
they have to. Casper Henningsen, he tried to do 2 hours on one tank of fuel, but he was only able to get, 1 hour, 30 minutes into the race?
I think it was, it might have been even more than that. I think it was around 1 minute 30 though. It was quite ridiculous. I think it was the Hungarian race.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, where he finished 5th in the end, I do believe. So there you go. So, yeah, let's see. Just about over 2 minutes in the session remaining. Pilo Komoto still leading. Tim Yarshall 2nd, Michael O'Brien in 3rd. Now that is a bit of a surprise to me. I don't want to be rude to anybody here, but Michael O'Brien has not qualified up towards the front in quite a long time, if not at all this season, and so yeah, that's a great effort from him.
And something else to mention as well, this is the number 15 Simply race car. They've only got points finished once this season, and that was at Hungary. They've got 2 points to their name. If they finish where they are currently qualified, they jump all the way up to 12th place in the standings. So Simply Race on target to picking up some big points, courtesy of Michael O'Brien. And who's the other Simply Race? It's the number 370 and the 23. And both of them are doing a decent job in the BMWs, which is Mr. Burke and John Monroe. So you never know, maybe if they were in Porsches, they'd be slightly higher up the field.
Yeah, you never know, but maybe they're not very comfortable in the Porsches. Maybe that's why they haven't picked them. We'll never know. But we'll see. Michael O'Brien just comes over the line now, and he can't quite improve on his lap time. Don't forget, by the way, that you can ask questions in the chat if you've got any, of course. So yeah, you can post them in there. We'll get to them throughout the race. We've got 2 hours here, of course, so I'm sure we will get to them at some point. So you can post them in and interact in all the channels we've got here, of course, on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. A lot of them. You can post your questions and whatever. But Marko Pesic into the final corner, possibly for the final time. We're running out of seconds left on the clock right now, so we'll see if Pesic can get up the order here. I believe he's making a tenth of an improvement, and he does manage to get into third position, but he's got exactly the same time as his teammate, a 1 minute 21.435, and they're on exactly the same time.
Yeah, that was a crazy lap, but as Marko Pesic did set it slightly later, Tim Yarshall will hold on to track position just via the generic rule. The more laps you put down, the quicker the track is, supposedly. And it doesn't mean that anyone has got within half a second of Pierluca Amato, though, yet.
No, not yet. We'll see if anyone can actually manage it. Tim Yarshall's coming over the line trying to do just that, and he can't even improve on his lap time, I'm afraid, so that's not great for him. Michael O'Brien over the line now. He does improve on his lap time, but he cannot get up the order anymore, and I think that order is pretty much settled right now, with Amato leading Yarshall, Pesic, O'Brien and Casper Henningsen down in 5th. That is a big gap between him and his championship rival.
Yeah, and did Yarshall get a chance to cross the line before quali ended? Because he's right on the cusp of improving a little bit more.
We'll have to. I guess we'll wait and see here in a moment. But yeah, that's it. It was close, that's for sure. I can't quite remember if it, or I didn't quite see if he did or not, because I don't really know where the timing line is. It's often just a little. Oh, who was that off? Somebody off on the way up towards the corkscrew, but it seems to be still bombing around here, so we'll see if Tim Yarshall can actually improve. I'm seeing a 1/10 of an improvement as it stands right now. Just around about 2 corners to go. He flicks this one in, the penultimate one, 3rd gear, trying not to run it out too wide into the little bit of a sand there, or the sand trap, or whatever you want to call it, down on the left-hand side. And then coming up towards the gravel trap, that's the word I was looking for. Coming up towards the line now. Can he improve? Can he get anywhere near Amato? Well, he does, but he's still 3 tenths away.
Well, at least he does get to within half a second, but remember what we said at the start, it is the end of the Burst Esport, the domination, Rise, Musto and Euronics.
Well, that's what you said, yeah, so we'll see if that comes true in the race, which will be coming up after this quick commercial break. You're watching the GTR24 Sprint Series here from Laguna Seca, and the race is after this.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between 2 people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. Their 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the GTR24H Sprint series here from Laguna Seca. As you can see, the guys just setting themselves up for this race. It's the Porsches through 1 to 5 right now, and as you can see on the left hand side of your screen, it says that Tiziano Brioni is starting the Musto GD sports car. That's not correct. As you can see on the right, on the bottom right, it says Pierluca Amato, and we'll go with that for now because I don't believe you can actually make a driver swap between qualifying and the race. So it's going to be Amato starting, Yarshall alongside him, and then it's not Leon Atoki, it's going to be one of his Euronics teammates. It's going to be Marco Pisic starting in 3rd position. So turn 1, an interesting one always through here, Yusuf. So we're bound to see a little bit of contact, a little bit of physical action down there into the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, and turn 1's always super interesting as well, just because you can really hang it out wide and kind of just sweep past quite a few drivers and pick up positions, but you do run the risk of, if there is an accident on the inside, you will get caught up in everything. And don't forget, lap 1 corkscrew, it could be absolute mayhem. Pierluca Amato, Tiziano Brioni for Musto GD Esports. Well, Pierluca Amato will be starting. We saw how quick he was last time out. Musto GD and Euronics. This time, round 7 of the championship, we're going to be seeing them fighting head or tooth and nail for the win.
Yeah, they are indeed, and yeah, let's see as we come towards the final corner right now. 9 rows of cars, 18 in all, of course, and Tim Yarshall trying to get a bit of a march on everybody right now, but they're all going to line up and all be in line, ready for 2 hours of racing here at Laguna Seca. In the Americas, in California, of course. Pierluca Amato going to take the start. They cross the line and they now go for it. Do you want to be on the inside or do you want to be on the outside? Well, Amato has answered that emphatically right now, going into the lead in turn number 1, but look at that dive down the inside from yet. Oh, it's a bit of contact. Casper Henningsen was trying to make moves there, and he's actually got into 3rd position, but there was a big spin in front of the pack. It looks like Daniel Frommel has had a bit of an issue. He's got to drive through, possibly for a jump start himself, but big positional change throughout that first couple of corners, but importantly, Burst Esport are up into 3rd position.
Yeah, and that is big for them in the championship as well. Big for them in defending their championship lead. And I think I believe it was Luca Burke looking down the inside, or perhaps it was the other BMW, and he's now dropped down the order. So I'm not sure if he was involved in that collision. But as you mentioned, Pierluca Amato leads from Tim Yarshall, and Jesper Pedersen in 3rd place. As Honda coming under pressure. That's Richard Schaefer as down the inside goes John Monroe to take 6th place.
He didn't quite manage it in the end. He got it briefly, but he ended up giving it back as Marco Pisic has had a dreadful start here. I believe he was the one who was tipped into a spin by who I thought was Casper Henningsen, but it's actually Jesper Pedersen starting that car, I believe. So Henningsen is actually going to be getting into that car a little bit later on, as this battle for 6th position is getting very close indeed. Let's just look at Pedersen right now, and I believe that Pedersen is actually got into that car. So Henningsen, despite qualifying it, is not starting the race, and I'm not sure about that strategy because Pedersen is going to be slightly more out of practice. Henningsen will be in the rhythm, whereas I don't think Pedersen will be, and maybe that is the wrong call.
And we have seen Casper Henningsen start, I believe, all of the recent races. So a bit of a switch up coming through from Burst Esports Complexity. We'll see if it can work as Marco Pisic starting to get very close to John Monroe and going to have a little look down the inside, but he decides to back out of there as John Monroe getting really closer to the Honda of Schaefer as they make their way up the hill.
Yeah, they are getting incredibly close right now. Down the inside there for John Moreau at a very squeaky part of the racetrack. And now Marco Pizic is going to try and take both of them. Not 3 wide into the corkscrew. Surely not. We got Porsches and BMWs on each side of the gravel right now. And then down the inside from John Moreau, trying to make this work through 8A. And now down the inside into the rainy curve at turn number 9. He makes that manoeuvre stick. Richard Schaefer down to 7th. And is he going to get overtaken by Pizic? That's the question.
What a battle we're having at the start of the race. And Piaget looking for a way through. He W's one way, he shimmies the other, but he's just going to have to stick behind for now. But it does look like the BMW has some fresh air and will be pulling away. It was a great start from Richard Schaefer, but now he's going to be dropping down the order in that Honda that just doesn't seem to be having the same kind of speed as the Porsches and the BMWs.
Not right now, it doesn't, but will it end up having that kind of pace later on? We'll wait and see. But up towards the front again, Amato and Yarshall lapping very close to each other at the moment. It's incredibly close between these two Porsches, and Jesper Pedersen just falling off the back of them, not quite got the pace right now. Now just a word on Henningsen and Pedersen's strategies throughout this. Henningsen often does take on the first portion of the race. It's only happened 2 times this way around where Pedersen has taken the start. That will make it 3 out of 7, so I guess it's a nearly half and half job between these guys. But the most recent time that did happen was Bathurst, where Henningsen managed to take the start and then Pedersen took the start and Henningsen took the end. That was a race victory for them, so are they going to be able to repeat that feat here today at Laguna Seca? I'm not entirely sure, because Pedersen is already losing a bit of time.
Yeah, and I fully understand why Burst Esports Complexity have gone with this, just because I think in recent races, Casper Henningsen has been caught up in lap 1 shenanigans, or just early race shenanigans, and just stuck in trains of cars. And this time, Jesper Pedersen, he's up in 3rd, he's got clear air, he can now just try to stick with the Musto GD Esports and the Euronics gaming team Intel cars.
I believe the two leaders side by side at the moment, or they were very briefly. Pierluca Amato and Tim Yarshall really fighting this one out. And wow, this is going to be a fantastic battle between both of them as we continue on throughout this race. The top 3 in the championship are in the top 3 positions on the race circuit right now. Euronics really need to start taking points from the other 2 around them right now if they want to be contenders in this. So are they going to be able to do that here today? Let's hope so for their sake, but it's going to be a tall order for him. Just over 5 minutes gone, and Yarshall is really beginning to apply the pressure here. It's hard to take your eyes off this battle because you just know that anything could happen at just about any moment.
Yeah, we've got quite a few battles on the circuit. This battle for first place, of course, and then down the order, Richard Schaefer is still trying his absolute best to keep the likes of Mikkel Mo and Philip Maxick behind. And actually, Luca Burke was able to find a way past the Honda, so he's up into 7th place now. BMW's in 6th and 7th for the team, for Simply Race.
Down the inside, are we going to go for the lead? No, we're going to go to the outside here with Tim Yarshall. He tried this on the last lap. He can't quite do it on this one. He's going to try and get the cutback, though, into turn number 3 now. He's going to go to the outside again. Nothing doing from there. He's going to take a nice wide and sweeping line and try and get the run into turn number 4, but he can't quite do it there either. So an interesting battle between these guys, but Amato definitely looks like he's a little bit slower than Yarshall at this particular moment in the race. Is that going to revert later on? Well, we're going to have to wait and see, really, but Yarshall definitely wants to get through right now.
Yeah, and don't forget, with these 2 are battling tooth and nail, this does mean Jesper Pedersen can slowly close in, but it does seem at the moment Tim Yarshall is the Porsche that has the most pace, and he doesn't want to sit behind him. He doesn't want to work with Pierluca Amato to pull away into the sunset and battle later on. He wants to make the move ASAP, and he wants to pull away in the lead.
Yeah, he does. He wants to extend that margin out as quickly as possible. Of course, his teammate, not Leonard Toki, it's the other car. It's going to be Luca Schmidt who gets into that one. Obviously, the 2 16-year-olds, the youngest driver pairing on the grid, I believe. I've not done the maths on that, but I'm going to presume it is. But yeah, 2 very young drivers, and maybe not with the patience and the experience of others, but definitely got the pace, that's for sure. And even while they are doing this battling, Jesper Pedersen is still losing time. That gap is, I'm just showing that as just over 2.5 seconds right now. And it was about 2 seconds a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, and last time round, actually, Tim Yarshall and Pierluca Amato in the mid-22s, they pulled out another couple of tenths over Jesper Pedersen. So despite these two battling, they're still pulling away from the championship leaders of a Burst Esport Simplexity. So fantastic stuff from Amato and Yarshall.
Yeah, they're doing really good stuff right now. Primavera and Simon Crane also battling over 4th position. What's the other battles going on down the field? I believe that Mikael Moe and Philip Matzik were battling pretty hard earlier on, but as you said earlier, the Honda's really not looking strong, and the way Matzik just flowed his car through turn number 5 there, I would back that up really, because those Hondas really don't look too comfortable dropping through the field right now. But we did see with the Porsches, and we have seen in the past, that their fuel tanks, they have quite a lot of standing still time because of the amount of fuel they need to put in, yeah, that's not good for them in the pit stop cycles. But Pierluca Amato just extends his gap once again. This is going to be a toing and froing of the gap really. It's going to continue on like this throughout the whole of this stint, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I definitely imagine that will be the case. Richard Schaefer also, he's not falling back from Luca Burke, so he might have a chance, but Primavera starting to come under loads of pressure now from Simon Crane. And let's see if Mr. Crane can find any way through. Still top 5 are all Porsches, but just in the corner of your shot there, you can see the 2 BMWs of John Munro and Luca Burke closing in, and they're going to be joining in this battle in maybe a few laps time.
Yeah, they're going to be closing in at, or as we speak right now. Just a word on Matt Beavis, by the way, was driving the number 37 Team Rookie Monsters car. He is unfortunately now out of the race. He's had to park it up after a lap 1 incident. I can only presume he was involved with everybody, as now, that's very close down into the corkscrew. Technically turn 7, and Primavera really having to defend hard from Simon Crane right now.
Great defending from Primavera, but coming under so much pressure from Simon Crane. Just keep an eye on John Munro, because he's going to be catching, and there he is. He's practically on the back of these two. Will we see a dive? No, not yet from Simon Crane.
He's just going to bide his time for now. So, yeah, it's all getting very interesting. It's getting quite interesting at the front of the field. Sorry for flicking away from the cameras a lot, because I'm trying to focus on multiple battles at once here, because I just don't want to miss anything. Both of these battles are absolutely enthralling, and you can't really take your eyes off either of them right now. I kind of want to watch both at once, but I can't. Yeah, it's just a little bit disappointing, but yeah. Primavera and Simon Crane battling really hard right now, and John Munro trying to get involved, which is great to see the BMW on its first outing in this season doing very well, knocking on the door of a top 5 finish, which would be absolutely fantastic for those guys.
Yeah, it would be absolutely fantastic for Simply Race there. Best finish so far was the 12 points back at Bathurst, which is P4, and well, they're almost on target to getting a similar result, as Primavera is still getting close, or still getting closed down by Simon Crane. Nothing will come through this time round into the corkscrew. And Pierluca Amato, Tim Yarshall also very close. Hopefully we will be able to catch the move when it does happen, and we won't be looking in the wrong direction, as does sometimes happen. And I'm just wondering if Simon Crane is testing the waters, and when he will consider just throwing it down the inside into the final corner, as that's Marco Pajic, who has found a way past Mr. Wolf.
He's found a way past Stefan Salzgard now, I think, in the Aston Martin, yeah, the 777. Pisic had a bit of a moment away from our cameras, and he's way down the order now. He's down in third. He's going to be 13th when he comes across the timing line, so he's going to be making up moves, as is his teammate Ralph Pirringer. He was involved in the incident at lap number 1. I mentioned at the time it was Daniel Fromelt. Well, that's actually his teammate. It was Ralph Pirringer driving at the time, and he still is. So that is another interesting battle to watch, and we'll have to monitor Pisic's progress throughout the day, but I can only imagine it's going to be frustrating for him, because you can't imagine he's going to be able to get the race win now, because he's over 30 seconds behind Pierluca Amato already.
Yep, Tim Yarshall is really starting to close in onto Pierluca Amato. And maybe he could have a little think into turn 1. Simon Crane also close to Primavera. These two battles are the ones we are focusing on. Nothing will come through into the final corner this time around. 13 minutes into the race.
Yeah, we've had some fantastic overtaking so far, but will we see one for the race lead here? Tim Yarshall in the slipstream. He's going to try and get the overspeed down to turn number 1, but he's too far back just for now. And he runs it in a little deep, nearly actually hit the back of Pierluca Amato, who ran a little bit wide into turn number 1. Maybe he's a little bit afraid of the Euronics Porsche just in behind him. So it's a bit of an interesting one. Will he be able to get through? Not at this particular corner. It's not an overtaking opportunity at all, by the way. So that'll be why. But this battle, this 3-car battle for 4th position is continuing, and it's continually closing. Jesper Pedersen down. He's now losing time, hand over fist to the 2 up front, and he's being caught by everybody in behind. The gap to these two is 7 seconds, but now look at this. Amato versus Yarshall down into the corkscrew.
Maybe up into the corkscrew, we should say, and Amato is forced to sit behind, but he should be able to get the slingshot out. This is where we talked about good move being possible, but Yarshall just can't throw it down the inside into the rainy curve. He's going to have to slot in behind once again as Amato holds on to the lead of the race for now. Final corner is a possibility. Yarshall looks for the outside and he won't switch it back into the inside. Can he get the run through the final corner? He gets a pretty decent run. And now let's see, can Yarshall find any way through? He's right in the slipstream as he makes his way down into the Andretti hairpin. But again, just too far back to make a move.
Oh, he's sticking his nose, he's showing the nose, he's giving him the bumper now as well. It's getting physical down into turn number 1 and 2. And now into 3. He can't get this move done. He's clipped the sand, he's clipped the gravel there, and he's just had a slight half spin. But a fantastic save from Tim Yarshall there. The German with quick hands. He's just saved a bit of well, he saved his race potentially. He's only lost a second in an incident that could have cost him much, much more.
Wow, Tim Yarshall playing with fire there. Somehow he saves the back end beautifully. How is our good old friend Simon Crane doing? Still right on the back of Daniele Primavera. John Munro on the back. And don't forget, John Munro is the quickest of all of these guys. And they're closing in by a few tenths a lap onto Jesper Pedersen as Simon Crane runs wide.
He does up into the corkscrew now. Can John Munro take advantage of that down inside in the BMW? And again, wide for Simon Crane. What can they do into the rainy curve round the outside from John Munro? That is a long, long way around, so he's not going to attempt it. But this is down the inside, maybe into the penultimate corner. He's going to try this one, and he's had a big slide himself. Can't get the run into the final corner. He is going to stay in 6th position, but this is playing into the hands of Luca Burke, who is catching these 3 now, but it's actually also freed Daniele Primavera just for now.
Give it another 10 minutes, we're going to have a 5-way battle for 3rd place because Pedersen's getting closed in by Primavera, and I think it's a matter of time before John Munro finds a way through on Simon Crane. Luca Burke closing in as well. These guys are all going to start coalescing together, and we are going to have an almighty battle on our hands.
Don't forget as well that John Munro and Luca Burke are teammates, so they're going to be working together to try and get past these guys in front. That's Pulse Simsport that Simon Crane's driving for, and then Musto and Burst Esport that Pedersen and Primavera, are driving for respectively. So there's going to be some team play in play here, if you see what I'm saying, between the 2 BMWs to try and get themselves up towards the podium. And they haven't managed it so far. I believe at Bathurst they were running in a podium spot until a very late mistake by John Munro, was it maybe? For those guys, I know that Tobin Lee and Mike Epps managed to get a podium in that race, but I feel like John Munro was knocking on the door of a podium before a bit of a mistake on his part. So they've been knocking on the door, as I keep saying, throughout the podium places. They've often got a P5. Is this going to be the chance for them to get another P5, or are they going to go a little bit further up the order? It's honestly hard to see anyone challenging Amato and Yarshall at the moment, but a top 5, maybe even a podium, is definitely possible for Simply Race Sancho right now.
Yep. simply race well. If it's not the Zancho team, just simply race, have a good chance in those BMWs. And we'll have to see, you know, how the BMWs fare to the Porsches in terms of, you know, refueling times, and those pit stops are going to be crucial as Simon Crane is really running that Porsche ragged, just running that little bit wide on every corner, just kicking up that little bit of a gravel. Maybe the pressure starting to get to him slowly. Up at the front, Tim Yarshall starting to close back in onto Pierluca Matu. The gap is at 1 second now.
He's just ever so slightly closing in.
Done it this time, it's done. John Monroe surely is going to be able to find a way through. He's on the inside, heading down into the corkscrew.
He is indeed. We'll see if these guys can actually come out alive right now as the Porsche goes on to the right-hand side all over the curbs. And this time, John Monroe has struck gold. He is through now into 5th position. Simon Crane down to 6th. Now, can Luca Burke take advantage? Because Simon Crane is going to have to adjust to some new surroundings right now. He's going to have to start looking in his mirror a little bit more, and he's going to try and overtake the BMW as well. But something I've been noticing between these two cars, they're strong in different areas. So where is the Porsche going to make up its advantage, and where's the BMW going to use its advantage to get through on the aforementioned Porsche? We'll have to wait and see, really. But that mistake there from Simon Crane just allowed John Monroe to get through, and that's all you need really at Laguna Seca. If you throw yourself off for one corner, then it's likely that you're going to lose the position, especially when it's this close.
And we were just talking about it as well, how Simon Crane was running that Porsche right, and how he was running wide practically every corner. He's done it again, you know, just picking up that little bit of gravel. And Simon Crane just, it feels like he's not at one with the car. It feels like he's pushing that little bit too hard and trying to close back into Daniela Primavera. And he ends up making the exact same mistake that cost him the gap to Primavera in the first place, because he was right on the back. We see Luca Burke doing exactly what Simon Crane did, and it does seem that turn 5 is the hot spot right now for driver errors.
Yeah, it really is a difficult portion of the racetrack, and we're seeing it right now with some of those guys dipping a wheel onto the gravel. Now then, Filip Matzik is going to try and stop Marko Pizic in his tracks right now, but I don't think anybody can put up much of a fight to the Euronics driver right now. Is he going to go for it at the corkscrew? Wait for them to come into the shot, and no, he doesn't. He's going to just try one more time elsewhere. Where is he going to try it? That's the big question, really. Through these sweeping turns, you'd have to say that the Honda, on paper, would be quite strong through this, but it's not turned out that way, because Pizic tried to get up the inside into the penultimate corner. Is he going to dive out the final one? He needs to be patient here. I know he's faster than these guys he's battling right now, but he needs to be patient in making these moves, because he doesn't want to pick up a penalty. That would further add to a pretty bad day.
Yep, Porsche on Honda, and Marko Pizic. You have to think slowly he will be able to find a way through. I mean, he's lapping a fair bit quicker than Filip Matzik, and he has a little look down the inside into 3, but he's forced to back out of it.
Thought he was going to go for it there, down there, into that right-hander. He's looking every which way, really. He's showing the nose, just trying to get in there's going to be a dive at some point. It's almost inevitable at this point. Is it going to be down the inside here? No, not quite. He's showing the nose again. He's trying to get into the mirrors. He's trying to move around, so Filip Matzik doesn't really know where he is. And then he can strike when he's most vulnerable. And now through turn number 6, it's going to be a mistake from either of these guys. Not on this occasion, but it's a fantastic run from Pizic. Is he going to go for it at the corkscrew? He seems to be strongest in terms of his run. He seems to get the best of them up in towards the corkscrew, but it's not really the best overtaking opportunity, because it can be quite dicey, and there could be a big accident if it goes wrong.
Yep, there could indeed. Just to give some updates on further up the field, Pierluca Matu still just over a second ahead of Tim Yarshall, so not much happening as Pizic sniffing at an opportunity, but we'll have to back out of it this time around. Primavera is at 2.5 seconds behind Pedersen. John Monroe now 1.5 behind the Italian. So I think they are starting to slowly close in, although last time around Pedersen pulled about 0.3 from Daniela Primavera.
He did indeed, but those gaps are continually growing to those guys at the front of the field. It's over 10 seconds now to Tim Yarshall, which Jesper Pedersen, or who Jesper Pedersen is chasing. Look at Marco Pizic though. He is still looking every which way, but he doesn't seem to be quite strong enough in the correct areas. Look at him again. He's got a good run, but this braking zone is just not big enough for the Porsche to get down the inside, and Philip Matzik is just able to hold on once more. This is a fantastic showing from the Butler Powell Motorsport driver. He's got a very accomplished list of achievements that you have to say, and now is Pizic going to be able to throw all that out the window and get down the inside here? Well, he's tried it in the past. He's not going to try it this time, but yeah, it's really close between these two, and Pizic is going to get ever more desperate here as the laps tick by.
Yep, and he gets a good run out over the rainy curve, but he can't have a little look into 10, and actually he gets a great run out of 10 on the outside now into the final corner, and he'll be looking for the switchback. He'll be looking for the run down into turns 1 and 2, but can he get the drive?
Can he get the drive? That is the big question. I don't think he actually has right now. He's in the slipstream, but look at that Honda in a straight line. That is absolutely fantastic. That is why he can't get through, because the power in the back of that Honda right now is just pulling away from the rear-ended Porsche. Now can Pizic do it in the corners? This is what's making it so difficult. Now that I've been on board with it, and we've all been on board with it, I finally start to realise why Pizic is finding this so difficult.
But he gets a really good runner coming through the right hand, but again just a little bit too far back. When he goes for the dive, he shows his nose. And, you know, you mentioned how the Honda is so much better in the straight line, and you can visually see it. Just look at him pull away heading up the hill. So if there's any place for Pietro to pull off the move, it has to be on the exit of the corkscrew or going into the corkscrew, and he's having a look now.
He's going for it, is he? No, he's not going to go for it on the brakes. That definitely seems to be his strongest area, though. Through the corners and getting that run seems to be where he is best. Now, as we come through the final sector, this is going to be another strong portion for the Porsche. Can he get down the inside into turn, or the final turn? He's going to show his nose. Is he going to get it on the brakes? Here we go. This is his opportunity. But now Matzik is going to have a cutback down on the front straight. And with that straight line speed, you've got to think he's just going to get back past again.
Yep, and he will be able to find the way through in that Honda power. However, big news up at the front. Pierluca Matto is only a couple of tenths ahead of Tim Yarshall, so we're going to have to take a look what's going up here, because they're nose to tail heading down the corkscrew.
Is there going to be any moves here for Tim Yarshall? He's been slowly reeling in the Italian right now, and so will he be able to make a move now that he is here? Has there been a mistake from Amato? Is he a bit rattled by the prospect of having Tim Yarshall just in behind him? Well, all questions will be answered down into turn number 1. It's a fantastic run from Yarshall. It's all over the back of that Porsche right now. We are extremely close going down through turn number 1 and into the braking zone at turn number 2. Is he going to go for it down the inside? Oh, it's a very close one, but he's not going to go for it. Amato just covered enough, and he's done all he has to do right now to stay in front of that 57 Porsche.
Oh, this battle is spicing up, Ewan, and it is brilliant here at California for round 7. Euronics and Musto. These guys, they're over 10 seconds ahead of Jesper Pedersen. And actually, speaking about the battle further down, John Monroe, he's close in onto Daniela Primavera, so we've got a bit of a battle going on for 4th place now.
Yeah, there's battles going on all over the place at the moment. Marco Pizic did actually finally manage to get past Philip Matzik, who is not going to be long before he's under pressure from Chris Vickers, who's closing in, as is Ralph Piringer. So that's going to be another battle to watch. This has just been absolutely fantastic and absolutely non-stop so far. We really have not been dry for battles as we stand right now, 26 minutes into this race, 1 hour and 34 to go, and it's just going to be like this throughout the whole race, because that's what all the races are like in this series.
Well, Ewan, we're going to have to start deciding where to look again, the battle for 4th place or the battle for the lead, as getting so close, and Simon Crane all over the back of John Monroe through the rainy curve. 4, 5, and 6 is splitted by a hair, and all goes wide to Simon Crane. Thankfully, he doesn't miss his braking point, and he won't ram into the side of John Monroe, who himself runs a little bit wide through the final corner. And Simon Crane, he might be able to have a little look into turn 2.
Yeah, we'll see if he can actually do this. Let's just see if it's the Porsche with the bad straight line speed, or if it's actually the BMW with the good one. Look at the braking performance from Simon Crane there in the Burst Esport car. He's almost pushing that BMW. You can't really see where he's going because he's behind that BMW right now, but he's just pulled away a little bit, and now you can actually see again. So we're coming through turn number 4. Is there going to be any moves? It's hard to see that there will be right now, because he's just too far away as things stand, but that battle is going to be one to watch throughout this race, as they all are, really, as we're approaching 1 hour and a half into this race. It's hard to see these battles going away, as I said earlier on, and they're just going to get even more energised and even more exciting, really, as the race gets down to its conclusion.
Yeah, and especially as the fuel loads do drop that a little bit more, and it's just going to get spicier and spicier. Daniele Primavera, he has to be careful as well. I've heard some rumours in the chat about people spitting in his coffee if he doesn't get a podium, so there's a lot on the line for him.
Yeah, there is indeed, as we are approaching 1 hour and a half to go. As I said, the lead battle has just petered out just for a moment, so I think this is a chance to nip in with a commercial break. We promise we won't miss anything. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. You're watching the GTR24 Sprint Series at Laguna Seca, and we're hitting traffic, and we'll be back after this.
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. There are 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40 mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between 2 people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Welcome back to the GTR24 Sprint Series here from Laguna Seca. We have got into the traffic, but as we went through for the first time, Pierluca Amato and Tim Yarshall managed to negotiate it pretty well indeed, and their gap has stayed roughly the same. In the battle for 4th, we've taken a battle each, by the way, so we're just going to butt in on each other when one of them gets exciting, because at the moment we've got 2 races to watch, and that's fantastic, as we watch the battle for 1st and the battle for 4th, both of which are very, very intriguing as we're approaching over half an hour in this race right now. So yeah, battles galore in the first half an hour. I'm sure it's going to continue on for the rest of the 90 minutes.
Oh, I'm sure it will. We're going to have an absolutely fantastic remainder of this race, Ewan. And, well, Porsches at the front, we were wondering what cars would be getting picked up. No Lexuses, surprisingly, but good to see the Porsches. And, you know, BMW's first showing in the GTR 24-hour Sprint series, and they're doing well.
They are doing well indeed, with a 5th position and a 7th position at the moment. That's normally where that team languishes anyway, the Simply Race Zancho team. They're normally around that kind of ballpark, so they're performing definitely on merit right now, it's fair to say, as we're currently going down into the next 90 minutes. Of course, we've got a bit of a battle, as I said. Primavera, Munro, Crane, Burke, and even Michael O'Brien is trying to approach on these guys right now. It's going to be a 5-car battle before we know it.
Yeah, it's already pretty big. Primavera leading Munro, then you've got Simon Crane and Luca Burke in that final BMW, and there just in the corner of your shot is Michael O'Brien. Remember, he was sitting in the P2 for quite a while in qualifying, and well, he's looking a little bit stronger now.
He is indeed, and these guys going to battle absolutely fantastically throughout the race. So just wondering really what happened to Michael O'Brien, because he's driving the Simply Race Zancho car right now. It's his first drive in the whole season, and he qualified very well indeed, but throughout lap number 1 he didn't have the best of times. Unfortunately now he's down into 8th position, but he's showing not bad race pace, and now he's involved in this battle all for 4th position, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see, and Michael O'Brien in that number 15 car, Simply Race, or at least this team of Simply Race, are looking to pick up some points. They've only got 2 points so far this season, and at the moment they're looking to get another few points. At the moment it's sitting at 4, so every point kind of counts in these lower end battles in the championship.
Yeah, definitely do, and even one placing up towards the pointy end, then you could really jump yourself up the order. As you said, it's really close. If you take out the top 2 of this championship, it does get really, really close, to be honest, with about 8 cars maybe separated by, maybe 9 separated by about 41 points, which is really quite close, I have to say. But in terms of the championship right now, if the championship, or if the race, was to stop right now, the gap between Musto and Burst Esport would close to just 15 points, and that's a very exciting prospect heading into the final 4 races, which 5 races, which there will be after this one.
Yeah, and again, it would be another 10 points that Musto GD take out from Burst Esport Complexity, and you know, you get to a stage where you start to think, if Bathurst didn't happen, if Musto didn't get taken out in Bathurst, they would be leading the championship, and they're doing a fantastic job right now, and they're slowly closing in. Gianluca Amato is on absolute fire, as is Tiziano Brioni, and let's see if Brioni can continue this fantastic pace.
Kimi Archer looks like he's just overtaken Gianluca Amato, because the Italian has made a mistake here. He's down into 2nd position now. He's about 5 seconds behind Kimi Archer. It was just a moment ago when this happened, and now Gianluca Amato down into 2nd position. Tim Marshall off on his own out the front. As soon as I said they were going to close the championship gap into 10 points, they drop a position. Tiziano Brioni straight into race control. I wonder if there's been a bit of an altercation between the two of them.
There must have been that. You don't get that 3-second gap unless something has happened. Both of these drivers are, you know, they're top of quality. They don't make mistakes in the races at all. So, well, we'll have to see what comes off it. As side by side, that's Simon Crane having a little look down the inside of Luca Burke, and he's not quite going to be able to get the drive. Maybe he could have a look into the rainy curve, but no, he's going to be forced to settle back. As Michael O'Brien looking very racy, maybe into the final corner, he'll have a shot. He runs really wide. Maybe that's a faster way down the inside. He has a little thing about it, but he's forced to slot in behind.
Simon Crane just went off the road at turn number 6 on that lap, by the way. You will have seen on the left-hand side of your screen a few moments ago. That is why he's down into 7th position and into the clutches of Michael O'Brien. Daniele Primavera still trying to fight off John Munro, who's got fantastic straight line speed down the first or down into the second corner. And now it looks like Jesper Pedersen is slowly falling into the clutches of these guys. He's 6 seconds up the road, and that's a lapped car. You can see the Aston Martin. Not sure which one it is because there's 3 of them in this race, but traffic could definitely blow this group of cars apart.
Yeah, John Munro is so much quicker than Primavera right now, and he just needs to get into that little bit of clear space, and then it'll be plain sailing. And I do think he'll be able to catch up to Jesper Pedersen without too much of an issue. So let's see if he can find a way through. He's getting very close as we go up the hill. John Munro right on the back of Primavera. Oh, back marker getting in the way, and John Munro, will he be able to find anything? No, not this time round.
Goodness me, I really thought that he was going to go straight into the back of that Aston Martin there, but he didn't actually do so. Simon Crane's going to have to negotiate him now as well, and he has done. Looks like Michael O'Brien's actually been held up a little bit more by that car there. He's just tailed off the back just for now, but let's see what's going to happen down here into turn number 1. Primavera, Munro and Burke all very close once again. The BMWs can't quite use their straight line speed down into turn number 1 though, and would you just look at that at the top of the screen at the moment, Tim Yarshall has got a drive-through penalty. Presumably that's for contact with the 71.
What is it with Musto GD drivers getting hit and losing the lead as a result, and then somebody else getting a drive-through penalty? That's 3 races in a row this has happened now, Ewan.
Yeah, it is actually, and fortunately for Musto, this has been the least damaging of them. Actually, maybe Suzuka was less damaging, but at least it's not as damaging as the Bathurst race, which ended their event. So Amato did get lucky in that respect. Apologies for missing that one at home, by the way. We were looking at the enthralling 4th place battle when that actually transpired, so yeah, I apologise for that. But is Joshua going to take it straight away? No, he's not. He's going to continue on just for another couple of laps until he has to serve it. But yeah, that's the second time in 2 races that the 57 and the 71 have come together. There's a little bit of friction between those 2 teams right now, and it's causing tension out there on the racetrack.
And it's what you love to, well, I say it's what you love to see between 2 drivers who are battling for the championship. Adds on this little bit of a rivalry, and it is fantastic to see. But I tell you what, Amato won't actually be happy that Yarshall got a drive-through penalty, because it means Pedersen's going to take P2. So he doesn't close in the championship deficit as much as a result, unless Yarshall can serve his drive-through and then get past the Burst Esport Complexity car.
I think he might be able to. I think that Yarshall's actually going to be dropped into this crazy battle for 4th position, which really would be exciting. And that is a big dangerous point for Tim Yarshall, because he, as we've just seen, can get involved in incident from time to time. So is he going to do the same again? Well, there's a lot of opportunity to get involved in an incident here if you are going to, because look at these guys right now. Look how close they're running. Look how aggressively they're racing. This is what we love to see. This is what the Sprint Series is all about. It's just high-octane racing for 2 hours. No limits on it at all. No saving tyres, really. You just go for it, pound around for 2 hours, and that will be the end of it. But Primavera looking under increasing pressure now from John Munro, and then Luca Burke, Simon Crane, Michael O'Brien, all looking to pick up the pieces.
So let's just try to think, if you are John Munro, where you can try to find a way past Primavera, because we know how quick that Porsche is through the twistier sections. And he has a little look into the final corner, but too far back. They're all nose to tail. There's a 5 drivers so close. Have you ever seen this at all this season, Ewan?
No, I don't think we have, and we may not ever again, I'm afraid. It's just absolutely fantastic between these 5 drivers right now. Luca Burke not going to attempt that move into turn number 1. He nearly did, but he's run wide now. Here we go. Simon Crane just slips up the inside. Easier to like. Just with that little bit of a going wide there for Luca Burke. He's lost another position. So is he letting these guys through? And if so, what on earth has happened to him?
So what happened there from Luca Berg is he just got a little bit too late on the brakes, and he almost ran into the back of his teammate John Munro. He was forced to take evasive action, he was forced to run wide, and as a result Simon Crane passed easily, and then Michael O'Brien just had the better run into turn 3, and now Luca Berg has a lot of work to do, but this does mean John Munro might find that he has a little bit less pressure from behind, and maybe he can look for something else onto Primavera. But if he wants to find a move on Primavera, I think that he has to do it into turn 1. That's going to be his ideal scenario. Maybe into the final corner if he can get right onto the back of Daniela Primavera through the corkscrew.
I think he needs to do it into turn number 1. It's Tim Yarshall pits, by the way. I think he needs to do it into turn number 1 because that's where the BMW is strongest. He's got the strongest straight line speed. He's going to the outside now. He's going to try and go around the outside. He didn't go for the cutback, and now he's gone wide. Simon Crane looks like he's going to pick up 2 positions in the space of 1 lap here. They run side by side over the timing line, very close between them as they go over the crest of the hill now, round the outside. For the BMW. He goes wide though, and Simon Crane gets up the inside. Michael O'Brien gets up the inside as well. Who's going to pop out of all this? In front though, it looks like the Simply Ray Sancho car has lost a load of positions. John Munro down to 7th position out of all of that. That is just disastrous for him, and now the Porsches might well just get up the road now.
Yep, the Porsches are now through. The BMWs down into 7th and 8th, and John Munro, he went for the right idea. He looked for the cutback, and actually he might have a look around the outside into turn 6, but he backs out of it rather sensibly. That could have only ended in disaster, but he looked to find the cutback, but he just couldn't find it, and he ended up running that little bit wide, and it just set Simon Crane up beautifully. This battle though is not done yet. Look how close John Munro is to Michael O'Brien. Gets a way better exit through the corkscrew, as we do start to see Simon Crane really closing in onto Daniela Primavera.
Yeah, it's all getting, they're kind of splitting apart just for the moment as we speak, but yeah, final corner, it looks like at the moment, John Munro just try to hang it around the outside of the hairpin, and that's not, it's a long way round there. It really is a hairpin. It's a long way round, as I said, and not really where you want to be found on the outside for. You get a really bad run onto the front straight as well, and that's really what put pay to a couple of positions for him. Simon Crane and Michael O'Brien both got up the inside, so an interesting one, but not really the right call there for John Munro to try and get around the outside. He really needed to go for the cutback, but when you've got someone up in behind you like that, you can't really go for the cutback. You can't really slow up that much, or the car behind will just try and slip it up the inside of you, so you've really got to be careful, and John Munro was really forced into a bad situation there, and he's lost 2 positions because of it.
There's one thing though that will work in the favor of Simply Race right now, which is the fact that in this 5-way battle, they're the only ones that have 2 drivers. And what this means is that John Munro and Luca Berg, they can go for completely opposing strategies. One can... Oh, that was very late. A little look down the inside from John Munro, but nothing will come of it. So, John Munro, he can pit in 5 minutes time with the undercut. And then Luca Berg can pit in, how long? 25 minutes time. And one of them will be able to find the undercut or the overcut, because they do have way more pace than the Porsches up in front.
I don't know if they have way more pace, but definitely getting on an opposing pit strategy would definitely work here. And I think they can definitely play that. They've got 2 cars to play, as you say, so we'll see if they use it and how they use it right now. But don't forget, this is going to be the first race for Luca Berg in this championship. I've seen him on R-Factor 2 quite a lot. I've seen him in prototypes quite a lot. Very fast driver, of course, but he's getting into a new series, which is always difficult. You're surrounded by new drivers in a new car on a new arrangement of circuits. So it's all changed for him, really, whereas everybody else, the guys like Simon Crane and Daniele Primavera, notably in this group, and John Munro, his teammate, they're already accustomed to this series. So it's a steep learning curve for Luca Berg right now, but I'm sure he's enjoying learning right now because it's just fantastic action for all of these guys.
I'm sure all of the drivers in this battle are absolutely loving it. You know what, let's hear from the fans in the chat. Who do you think is going to be coming out of this battle for 4th place on top? Because my oh my, it is an absolutely thrilling watch.
It really is at the moment, and we're seeing our first pit stops right now as well. Philip Matzik and Ralph Perringer both into the pit lane, so the pit stop window seems to be open. An hour and 15 seems to be the margin as Daniel Primavera goes wide, and now he's got a very bad run onto the front straight. Round the outside for Simon Crane over the crest of the hill and down into turn number 1. He's going to try and get him on the brakes into the Andretti hairpin. Can he do it? Oh, fantastically late braking, but he goes a little bit wide. Oh, now Michael O'Brien gets through, barges his way through, really using the bumper of that Porsche, and now it looks like he's been pushed wide again. He goes wide, and now, everybody's off the road, everybody's in the gravel, and now Simon Crane holds on. Those two not particularly impressed with each other. Down to the outside goes Michael O'Brien. Can he do this?
Or the switchback?
Not really. He's gone for the switchback. He's not gone for it, but that got a very, very aggressive between everybody, and Crane and O'Brien definitely don't seem to be best friends out there right now.
They really are not. Michael O'Brien gave Crane a little shover through turn 2, and and Simon Crane just gave a right back, absolutely whacked into the side of Michael O'Brien into turn 3. That was a cold-blooded revenge right there. Daniel Primavera is thanking his lucky stars. He's got a nice second cushion to the battle behind Simon Crane, Michael O'Brien, John Munro, and Luca Burke. Is now the 4-way battle for 5th place, and into the pits comes John Munro.
He's going for this undercut, so Luca Berg, you'd have to say, is going to go long on this one and going to try and stay out for a very long time, get that overcut. As we mentioned, now O'Brien versus Crane again, as that is Daniel Fremo on the right hand side of your screen coming out the pit lane. He's a lap down now, by the way, as Jesper Pedersen has now been caught by Tim Yarshall in that Euronics 57. We are about to see a battle between two championship contenders, the Burst Esport Championship leading Porsche in the front screen, the windscreen of the car we're riding on board with right now. And how long is this overtake going to take? Because Yarshall is caught up to Pedersen, hand over fist here, and so you'd imagine the move itself is not actually going to take that long.
No, Yarshall so much quicker than Pedersen right now, and that's the championship at the moment. It's, two cars being the quickest by a margin. That's Musto GD and Euronics. And then you've got Burst Esport Complexity leading the rest. But what a run through the rainy curve round the outside. There's Tim Yarshall. He's not going to be able to find it. Looks for the switchback onto the outside. What a run. Jesper Pedersen, is he going to dive into the bits? No, he will not. But Tim Yarshall, what a move.
That was fantastic to be able to get a cutback through a sweeping corner like that. Pretty impressive indeed, and Burst Esport really not showing the pace here. Unless Casper Henningsen has found some fantastic race pace from somewhere, I can't see those guys being able to get more than a 3rd place today. I think that Primavera has done too much battling with all of these guys in behind to actually catch him himself. Although now that he's freed, maybe he's going to be able to, but we'll just have to wait and see. But Pedersen, as I said, unless Henningsen's found some extra pace from somewhere, I think that's the best they're going to get today.
Michael O'Brien, he had a little look at Simon Crane down the inside into turn 3. Has to think about 4. He's just going to slot in up 4 now. Luca Burke is dropping back a little bit. Primavera has a bit of space then. I think Primavera probably wants to pit to try to cover off the other BMW, which is now piloted by Ross McGregor. And the longer these guys battle, the better it will be for the BMWs of Simply Race.
Yeah, it will be very good, especially for that 23 car. But I believe Richard Schaefer there in 10th for this. I thought he'd actually pit. No, that's his teammate Johannes Weiss's pit, because Philip Matzik got out of that car. So Johannes Weiss now, the man who arguably took out the Musto, excuse me, the race-leading Musto GD Esports car at Bathurst, now running down in 15th. But they're going to creep up the order later on, but back up towards the front. We'll see if Primavera can catch anybody further up towards the front as Luca Burke comes into the pit lane now. So both Simply Race Sancho BMWs have gone for the undercut here. I'm not sure if that's the complete correct strategy, but we're definitely going to get a feel for how much these guys have been battling and see if Ross McGregor can actually get out ahead of Luca Burke's teammate. I'll try and get Luca Burke's teammate, his name, or it's probably Mike Epps, if memory serves me.
So yeah, I think it is Mike Epps. We will have to wait and see. It could be Mike Epps. It used to be Josh Sutil. but it should be Mike Epps who jumps into the car. But that's questionable from Simply Race Sancho, purely because Luca Burke, he wasn't close to Michael O'Brien at that point. He had about 2 seconds between, so it leads me to think that that BMW had been underfueled ever so slightly, and maybe they're going to have to do a bit of fuel saving to get towards the end of the race.
I doubt that anybody's going to be struggling for fuel unless there's been a big miscalculation here, but that's equally possible. As Ross McGregor, just you can see there, gets through. Don't forget that the pit lane is on the inside of the track here, so it's a little bit shorter than normal, but Mike Epps, who has got into that car now, loses the position to Ross McGregor, so the undercut is definitely worth it here. Despite the extra fuel load you're going to be carrying around, it definitely is worth it, and that is maybe something that Michael O'Brien is considering, given the fact that he is stuck in behind Simon Crane right now.
Yep, and that's about 2 seconds, actually a little bit more, that Mike Epps has lost to his teammate. So the undercut will prove pretty useful for Ross McGregor. Maybe it can help Mike Epps out to jump back ahead of Michael O'Brien and Stephen Crane once they do make their stops, but Mike Epps will now need to get back in, will have to get into a groove because he's starting to come under a bit of pressure from Steven Salsgaard.
Yeah, he is. It's I don't think the 777 has pitted yet because Salsgaard started that car, but nevertheless, it is still unwanted pressure, and pressure that Mike Epps, the former British touring car driver, is going to have to deal with here. So we'll see if he can actually do that. 12th position at the moment, and despite there being 17 cars on the circuit, we've still got quite a lot of traffic, just negotiated there by Simon Crane and Michael O'Brien. Now I'm trying to get a view of that car. I believe Daniele Primavera was pulling away from these two ever so briefly, but now they've actually stopped battling. Crane and O'Brien are beginning to catch him again, so it's getting very interesting here, but it's really a question of who blinks first in terms of the pit stops, because I think when one of these three comes in, the other two are going to follow the lap later.
Yep. And I just want to take a quick look towards the front of the standings. Tim Yarshall is 10 seconds behind Pierluca Amato, and the race is by no means done yet for the lead, and we'll have to see what Tiziana Brioni and Luca Schmidt are able to pull out, because if Schmidt is able to find, even 3/10 a lap, that might be enough to hunt down Amato, or, well, it will at the time be Tiziana Brioni for the race win.
Yeah, he's very good at chasing down cars towards the end of races. He showed that at Suzuka. Unfortunately for them, it was due to the drive-through that they weren't actually able to get up the order and get into first position. It was down to 7 seconds by the end. He would have needed quite a few more laps as Daniele Primavera wide now, and here goes Simon Crane up the inside, up towards the corkscrew. Primavera do anything right now, he's going to be forced onto the gravel. If he does, and he slots in to get sandwiched by those two Porsches, now what can he do? Him being Michael O'Brien, it definitely seems that Primavera has lost a lot of pace in the latter part of this stint. You've got to think that he hasn't been managing his tyres very well, and he's paying the price for it right now.
Oh, that's really late on the brakes from Michael O'Brien. I think he rammed into the back of Daniele Primavera. That was too close to have not been in contact. I think Michael O'Brien, I think he got caught out by Daniele Primavera being a little bit earlier onto the brakes. Hopefully there's no damage between the two of them, but Simon Crane now in clear air. Let's see how much he can pull away from Mr. Primavera.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see, but yeah, there was definitely contact down there into the final corner between O'Brien and Primavera. It was Porsche to Porsche, of course, but Primavera still losing time. You can see Simon Crane getting up the road, and Michael O'Brien won't want to let him get too far away. He'll want to try and get that move done on Primavera before too long, because otherwise, as I said, Crane's going to get up the road, or in an alternative situation, Michael O'Brien should out of the traffic so that he could maybe get Crane and Primavera on the undercut. We'll see how the strategies play out, but still an hour and 5, and still quite a lot of these guys who haven't pitted yet.
Yep. Still a lot of pits to come. We're not even at the halfway point of the race. Jesper Pedersen still a few seconds behind Tim Yarshall. Of course, Yarshall did pass him earlier on, but this battle still going for what is a P4. Simon Crane leading, and here comes Michael O'Brien. He looks for the switchback, and down the inside he'll go. Oh, there's contact between the two of them. That's all on Daniele Primavera. who is now facing the wrong way, and Primavera only has himself to blame, as Mikkel Mo will pass him for 6th place.
Well, that was a bit of an interesting moment there. I don't know if Michael O'Brien was quite far up enough there to be making that move. In my opinion, it was a late one on the brakes. Was he far enough up? Well, from the fact that Primavera spun, I would say maybe not. We'd have to see that again, really, to make a decision on that one. But you can be guaranteed the stewards will be already all over that one. And if there is a penalty to be adjudged there, then it will be applied in a few minutes, I'm sure.
And so Primavera went to cover off Michael O'Brien, and then he moved again, I think. Michael O'Brien had already committed to the inside. He went down the inside. I think when the contact happened, he was practically alongside Daniele Primavera, and Primavera knew, without a shadow of a doubt, he knew Michael O'Brien was down his inside.
Yeah, quite possibly. It was an interesting one. I wouldn't like to call it, if I'm honest. It was close to being one way or the other, really. So we'd have to wait and see. We'd have to see it again to make sure. But currently, and there you go, there's your answer. Michael O'Brien, drive-through penalty. The stewards judge that there was not enough space for O'Brien to be putting his car down the inside there. And so there has been a penalty applied. Primavera will be back up to 5th position. So we'll see. It's a really close one, that is. I wouldn't like to call
I'd like to see a replay of that, but yeah. I do not think Michael O'Brien deserves a drive-through penalty for that, if I'm being entirely honest.
Not on first viewing, but maybe on second or third. Maybe. We'd have to see it, as I keep saying. We'd have to see it again, and we're not the stewards, so it doesn't really matter what we think anyway.
It's done,
so there you go. Exactly.
Enough to serve that drive-through, so... I mean, where's he going to drop out? He should come out ahead of Mikkel Mo, because Mikkel Mo is about 15 or 20 seconds behind Michael O'Brien at the moment. So Michael O'Brien doesn't lose too much out of this. But you know who wins out of all of this battling, Ewan?
Go on.
Ross McGregor and Mike Epps.
Oh yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah. They pitted early and running around on their own in tandem and making hay while the sun is while the rain is pouring over these guys and while the sun is shining on them. Yeah, that's a great strategy call from those guys.
Simon Crane, is he closing in onto Jesper Pedersen? Well, he gained a second last time round onto Jesper Pedersen, so the gap is dropping, but he is currently at about 8 seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty large actually. Oh no, that's probably about right actually. 7 or 8 seconds between those two. Maybe we're going to see a battle, but not in the next few laps at least. Well then, coming up into the second hour of this race, the final hour of this race, of course, we're going to see most of the Porsches pit very shortly, I am sure. And we're going to take a commercial break just before they do. So we'll be back in a couple of moments, and after this, we will have the final hour of this, the GTR24 Sprint Series race, round 7 from Laguna Seca.
Complexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. There are 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40 mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between two people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Welcome back to Laguna Seca, where we've got big news, I'm afraid, for the number 15 Michael O'Brien driven Porsche. They were given a drive-through penalty, as we saw just a little bit ago, and unfortunately they have left the race because of it. Dankel was set to get into that car, but he actually he didn't in the end. He got in, but immediately retired. So yeah, they will not be continuing on. The experienced Sancho driver will not be able to continue in this race, but just seen Marko Pisic make a fantastic outside manoeuvre on Mikko Mo there, the number 911, at turn number 5 there. So a fantastic move on a fantastically sweeping corner. So yeah, that was very good to watch indeed. Oh, got a bit of a car on the wall there. That's Jimmy Wim Hansen, I believe. Jesper Wim Hansen, sorry, not Jimmy, but there you go. He's in a McLaren at the moment, and he's looking for a place to get back on, which is quite awkward at the corkscrew, but he's managed it, as you can see. Currently running down in 5th position, ahead of the number 112, which is MSB Racing, and now they're actually ahead of them there for 15th. So, as I was just mentioning, Marko Pisic, who was there a moment ago, has just pitted, and we're still waiting on the leaders to pit here as we're entering the final 56 minutes of this race now, and it's Amato versus Yarshall as the race leader comes in.
Yeah, Pierluca Amato into the pits. Tim Yarshall, of course, he has pitted, but it wasn't a pit for a driver change. He did have a driver penalty for what we assume was contact with Pierluca Amato. So let's see where Amato does it feed out now.
Yeah, Tim Yarshall has copied him and come into the pit lane as well. So a bit of an altercation in the pit lane there if they're not careful. Mike Epps and Ross McGregor go through. Miles Dixon is now into the number 52, but he's come out just ahead of Ross McGregor. So it seems that even though all that battling happened with Simon Crane, they still were able to get out ahead of the BMWs, which is something I wasn't expecting.
Yep, and all of the top 3 are into the pits now. So Miles Dixon of the number 52 is ahead of Ross McGregor and Mike Epps. Mikkel Mo as well in the 911 push. Oh, I think that's a good number. I can't believe he got that. I've just realised pushing 911.
Yeah, there you go. That's why.
Sorry to completely change the pacing of everything. I just realised that.
No, that's all right. It's often used by Porsche if they're by their factory teams, if they're racing in anything really. But of course, I believe they're actually pulling those from, at least pulling them from IMSA anyway, because of they're probably not doing very well financially at the moment.
You want to know an interesting story about why the Porsche is actually called the 911?
Yeah, I don't know this, so yes.
So the reason why the Porsche is called the 911 is Porsche didn't actually want to call their car 911. They wanted to call their car the Porsche 909. However, Peugeot have all of the branding rights for any number, a 0 and then a number, so like the 406, whatever. All of those belong to Peugeot. So Porsche couldn't actually get the 909, so they had to then settle for the 911 instead.
I didn't know that. I didn't realise Peugeot were there before Porsche, but I guess that makes kind of sense. But yeah, there you go. I didn't know that. There's your fact for the day. I hope you didn't at home as well, but you probably did. I might just not know that, and that's common knowledge. But who knows? But there you go. Now you know. The number 9. out in the lead at the moment. He's just coming into the pit lane though, as has Richard Schaefer, so Tiziano Brioni is going to get into the lead of the race, and we got Florian Haas in the 57, so it's not Luca Schmidt, it's going to be a different driver completely to drive that Euronics car home, and we'll get to see just how quick he is.
Yeah, well, if he's anything close to the pace of Tim Yarshall, I'm sure Euronics Gaming will be more than happy with his performance. And let's see if he can, close that 10-second gap to the Musto GD team down over the remainder of the race.
Yeah, so that will be one to watch throughout. Let's look down towards a battle maybe. Florian Haas actually in that 57 they've gained a small bit of time in the pit lane here. So they're doing all right at the moment, but we'll see really what he can do in terms of lap times, because Brioni is a very fast driver. We know this from the season so far. He is such a fast driver at the moment, especially on R-Factor 2, by the way. That's where he's really shows himself, but he's not bad on any sim really, and he shows it in this series for sure. He needs to show it as well, because this is an important race for Musto. We said 2 weeks ago, last round was an important race. This one is also important because they could be on the verge of a second race victory.
Yeah, Musto are looking absolutely... They're looking so strong, and the only team that can really touch them is Euronics. And Tim Yarshall's picked up 2 drive-through penalties in 2 races for contact with the same driver, being Pierluca Amato, in the battle for the lead. So we've got this storyline is absolutely amazing, just between Musto GD and Euronics. They're not leading the championship, it's Burst who are leading the championship, but they're closing in race weekend after race weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately, at the moment, we're down to 15 because Leon Otoki has had an issue with the driver change, I believe, from 11th position. He has had problems in the pit lane, and so they are out of the race. The 17-year-old German will not get to drive that car, and they are out. So we're down to 15 at the moment, and that is the main player in this race out, unfortunately. A real shame for those guys, and a couple of new names up and down the order, by the way. We've already mentioned Florian Haas, but we've also got Trevor Jackson in the number 98 Musto GD Esports car. Despite not sounding very Italian, he is also Italian, as is most of, if not all of, the Musto team.
Yeah, I think Musto is an Italian-based team in everything they do. I remember another driver that they had, Manuel Biancolila. I think I spotted his name here once. I'm not sure if he still races, but he's one of the drivers I first had a pleasure on commentating on back in F1 2018. So yeah, must have produced some absolutely incredible talents, and that's no different here in the GTR24H Sprint series. Tiziano Brioni and Pierluca Amato seem to be the cream of the crop, but Daniela Primavera and well, now it is also Trevor Jackson are no slouches by any means.
No, definitely not. And yeah, as you mentioned, Biancolila did do a race here. I'll try and find which one it was, because I will have written it down. By the way, it's usually Alessio Piscedu who's normally driving at this portion of the race. Instead, it's Trevor Jackson who will be driving. I'm currently looking around and trying to find this, but I can't really turn my head and talk at the same time, because otherwise I'll go quiet and not quiet again. So I'll find it and then get back to you on that one. But Biancolila, I've definitely seen him in the series before, and I've seen him in many other places as well, because he's a very fast driver indeed. Yep.
Miles Dixon is slowly getting chased down by Ross McGregor. Just want to look at their lap times last time round. Miles Dixon actually 7/10 quicker than Ross McGregor, so starting to pull away, and let's see if Ross McGregor can just stabilize that gap a little bit. This is the battle for 4th place after all, and I do believe Miles Dixon has pitted. It was Simon Crane who was piloting the Pulse car before.
Yeah, he was indeed, and not anymore, of course. Handed over to his teammate. We're going to see the lap times as they come across the line. Miles Dixon does so now with a 23.3. He loses 9 tenths of a second to Casper Henningsen out front, who's trying to close in on those up ahead of him, but he can't quite at the moment. Ross McGregor lost a couple of attempts to Dixon, while Mike Epps is slowly reeling in his teammate there. So maybe we're going to get an all BMW battle for the top 5 placings here before long.
Yeah, I think we will. Top BMW battle maybe for 4th place as well. Last time around, another 2/10 Miles Dixon was able to take out of Ross McGregor. What about up at the front? Florian Haas 3/10 slower than Tiziano Brioni. So it looks like Musto GD pretty much have the race in the bag, but can you ever say the race is in the bag when there's 48 minutes remaining?
No, we can't, because otherwise we'll get blamed for the commentator cursing them. So it's basically what I already did with Musto earlier on in the race.
Idea what you're talking about.
We've already done it this race. Well, I did anyway. That wasn't your fault, but it's your turn to.
Did you like try for one race? Just constantly try to. Didn't you try to consistently cast a curse Casper Henningsen one race?
I can't remember, to be honest, but possibly. I know that if teams have asked us before that to not talk about their cars in a good way, not here but in elsewhere, so that they don't actually crash, because cursing is just really bad. But
I mean, I just like to think about it as they should be happy because we're giving them extra publicity on stream. So well, it's a good thing.
I suppose it's that way, yeah, but yeah, it doesn't help with results often.
Yeah.
When you're getting on the camera. Normally,
look at it like this, right? Musto GD, they could have been leading the championship, but instead of leading the championship, every time we talk about GTR24H Sprint Series, you instantly think Musto and Euronics. You think Luca Amato and Tim Yarshall are crashing into each other all the time. So I think that's a worthwhile trade.
Well, it was actually Yarshall and Brioni last time, so...
Brioni.
Yeah, so... They commented on...
going after all of the Italians, essentially.
Well, no. Not specifically. Okay. Or not on purpose.
If Primavera gets taken out in 2 weeks' time at Kyalami, we know that Yarshall just has a thing for Musto GD Italian drivers.
Well, Michael O'Brien did that job for him earlier on today. Primavera was sent spinning at the final corner. Yep. So, yeah, the Italians are not having a good time of it right now, although they are leading at the moment. But, yeah, it definitely seems to be a big fight between Musto and Euronics. It doesn't look like Florian Haas can actually get anywhere near Brioni at the moment, and you wouldn't expect him to, because those lap times they're pumping out right now are really, really fast indeed. Brioni with a 22 dead on the last lap. That is extremely close to that car's best lap of the race or overall. So,
yeah,
fantastic lap time from Brioni there. I'm sure he's going to do something similar on this lap as well. So he's doing very well at the moment and leading the race. But as I mentioned, Euronics and Musto have got a very nice inter-team battle bubbling up, and when they get near each other on the circuit, you can guarantee there's going to be a little bit of action between them.
Yeah, let's just take a look. Ross McGregor to Miles Dixon. The gap is about 5 seconds. In that last time around, Ross McGregor was able to take a 10th out of Miles Dixon, but that's by no means enough. Mike Epps, though, half a second quicker than Ross McGregor, and to be honest, I think the call should be coming through to, say Mike Epps or say Ross McGregor. You need to let Mike Epps through. He's quicker. He can hunt down Miles Dixon for 4th.
Yeah, quite possibly, but we're not quite there yet. We need to see when he gets there what happens, really. They're going to come across the line in a moment, but honestly I don't think that... Well, maybe, because I was going to say that I don't think Epps can actually catch Dixon here, but if Mike Epps continues to just dip into those 22s every now and again, then he may be able to do it. We'll just see if he can do that lap time consistently, and not really is the answer to that. Just so often he dips down into a 22.9, but he doesn't really seem to be able to do that consistently, which is what you need.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the quickest drivers on circuit with that 22.9. But I've got a question for you, Ewan. How would you give, like the multi-21 order? Would you say multi-370-23? Multi-300... I want to try that again. You. Would you say multi 370-23, Ross? Multi 370-23.
I think they're just telling to let him through, to be honest. Since there's no restrictions on team orders here. I mean, obviously, taking out someone in servant of your team is probably not really going to gain you many friends in race control, but you know, being
team, I think race control would just be like, you guys sort that out internally. We were no part of this.
Well, I mean, something like Musto using one of their cars to take out the Burst Esport car.
Oh, right.
So I think that might get a few raised eyebrows.
Ewan. That's clever, Ewan. I like it.
Not original, but I guess it is clever, yeah. But there you go.
Spa 99, anyone?
No, I don't remember what happened there at all. Wasn't alive.
99 was where... it might not be 99, but I know it was Spa. It was pouring with rain. Michael Schumacher was leading because it was raining. And John Todt marched over to the McLaren garage and said, make sure David Coulthard doesn't hold up Schumacher when he comes to lap him. Schumacher came to lap Coulthard. Coulthard just released the throttle and Schumacher just crashed into the back of him, and Häkkinen won the race. Oh, it was 98. Okay, there we go.
Was that? No, that was the race that the Jordans won, wasn't it? I don't think it was the Häkkinen win, but well, anyway.
98?
I think they only won 2 because everybody died out of turn number 1. That was the year that everybody piled in.
That was 98, Peter.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure about...
I know the crash was 98. That's why I didn't think it was 98, and I thought it was 99. Because
who knows?
Häkkinen, I don't think he was in the McLaren in 90. Oh,
no, he was.
The McLaren, but it was a McLaren silver that year.
I think your business idea needs a website. Livery.
No, I don't think they did. I think they were black and grey by that point. So yeah, there you go. But to be honest, I don't think we're going to see anything like that to get to the point, really, with that one. But yeah, the lap times pretty much being matched right now, and Mike Epps has not quite got the consistency that he needs to close in on those guys of Ross McGregor and Miles Dixon in front of him. He's ever so often dipping into the 22s once in a while, but then the gap goes out again and he does a 24, and then he's just not getting the consistency that he really needs if he wants to get past the 2 cars in front of him.
Yep. Well, is still looking interesting nonetheless. Tiziano Brioni, a good 12 seconds up the road from Florian Haas. Casper Henningsen a further 10 seconds behind, and it is all starting to spread out. But Ross McGregor, Mike Epps, that gap is pulling slightly, but is sticking at around that 5 seconds mark.
Yeah, it's just staying there, really. They're equidistant from each other right now. Miles Dixon, is he closing on Casper Henningsen? Well, not really, you have to say at the moment. Matt Dixon is consistently in the 23s. We'll see what he does as he comes across the line here, since he's very close to it. And the gap is just over 10 seconds, by the way. He does 23.1, there you go, just to the point. Henningsen can do 22s. He's often doing 22s, in fact. So he's being much more consistent and just a little bit faster while staying consistent as well. So I think that those 2 positions are going to stay the same as well just for now. But one mistake and you could lose positions here, because while these guys aren't battling nose to tail right now, they are definitely running close to each other.
Yeah, and Casper Henningsen, he's having a really good drive so far, and he's definitely been quicker than Jesper Pedersen. Pedersen was, half second to a second off the pace of, well, at the time it was Amato and Tim Yarshall, but Henningsen right on the pace with Florian and Tiziano.
Yeah, it's matching each other like for like at the moment. Now, Mikko Mo, I'm not sure what's happening here, because the number 911 down there in 15th position has been parked there for quite a long time. I wonder if he's waiting for his other driver, being Michi Hoyer, who will be driving race winner in FSR in the FSR World Championship back a few weeks ago at the start of the year at a circuit at Sepang. It was he managed to get his first ever race win in the World Championship there a few months ago now. But yeah, it doesn't seem like he wants to get in the car, because Mikko Mo's just sat there twiddling his thumbs, really waiting for Hoyer to get in. I'm not really sure what is going on there. but they're having a few issues down the pit lane, it's safe to say.
Yep, a few issues, and that's their race down the drain, to be honest. Just they're not going to be able to get any points unless there's some major accidents that happen in front, or some disqualifications, which I highly doubt there will be that many, and the original 18 are, well, now down to 14 essentially.
Yeah, essentially, but maybe they can get back into the race. We'll wait and see, really, but yeah, that's been a disappointment for them. They've managed to really get their season on track in the last couple of races. They've had a bit of a nightmare throughout the first 4 races, but then they managed to 7th place at Bathurst, and it started to get on track for them. Another points finish last week at Suzuka, but unfortunately it doesn't look like they're going to get any points. Even if they can actually get back into the race, it doesn't look like there's going to be any points for that team.
No, not at all. And just still trying to keep an eye on those gaps towards the front. Ross McGregor last time round almost his second quicker than Miles Dixon, and well, they're going to be completing their next lap very shortly, so let's just see if it was a one-off from Miles Dixon, or if Ross McGregor really is going to be able to catch by almost a second every lap. So 23.6 from Miles Dixon. Yeah, he's back on a decent pace, and Ross McGregor 23.5, so only a 10th that time round.
Yeah, it's going to need to be a little bit more than that if he wants to get onto the back of Miles Dixon and actually have a chance at passing him, because we're now into the final 38 minutes of the race. We've had an hour and 20 odd, and so we're getting into the real end of this race now. Interestingly, it seems like the top 7 are going to finish on the lead lap as it stands right now, because Trevor Jackson in 7th position is not too far away. He's only 12 seconds away from lapping the guy behind him in size. So yeah, I'm not sure how they've managed to get quite so close to each other on the circuit, because they're only one position apart, but they're a whole lap apart, which is a bit of a strange one, but that's the kind of thing that can happen over a 2-hour race. Things really can spread out, and they have done in this race, it seems.
Yep, they have, and Hinsai is just, I guess, a bit in no man's land, to be honest. And, you know, he's almost a lap down on, Trevor Jackson, and, well, he's a good 30 seconds ahead of Johannes Weiss, pretty much.
Yeah, he is right now, just gonna, pretty much 30 seconds, just less than that. Honda back into the top 10, as are Aston Martin, so we do actually have 4 manufacturers in the top 10, which is something you wouldn't expect to be saying. After seeing the qualifying results, it was pretty much Porsche everywhere, but we've even got a BMW into the top 5. The Porsches have really fallen away, maybe not the most consistent car over a race distance that you might like, and maybe one of the more stronger, the biggest, more sturdy cars it is one to go for.
Well, to be fair, Trevor Jackson obviously had that contact. Well, it was Daniela Primavera at the time, but there was that contact that saw them drop it down the order a bit. Don't forget Matt Beavis as well. He's dropped down the order. He was one of the Porsches that were towards the front of the grid, and you know that would have been 6 Porsches right up at the top. So there have been some issues, and you know, if you've got more Porsches than another manufacturer, then you know you would expect the incidents to happen to the Porsches as a result.
Yeah, there has been a little bit of friendly fire between them. I do understand that they've slightly taken each other out at some portions of the race, but all of that has stopped happening just for now, right now. But coming towards the final couple of corners now for Mike Epps, as he is chasing down his teammate Ross McGregor, but unfortunately I don't think they're going to actually fight each other that much. Mike Epps is having a bit of a fantastic lap right now. It's going to gain about half a second on his teammate. Ross McGregor comes over the line. He's going to do a 23.3. That's not a bad lap time from him, but Mike Epps a 22.7. If he was able to do that the whole time, then he would be on the back of Ross McGregor in no time, but unfortunately for him, he can't quite manage that all the time.
So, did we clarify on the stream exactly why Dan Callan, the number 15, did get disqualified?
Oh, they got disqualified, did they?
What happened was they had a drive-through penalty, and they went to serve the drive-through, but then they realized that they didn't have any fuel, so they had to fuel up, and then that meant that they got black flag for not having served the drive-through within the required number of laps.
Yeah, that would that was a bit of a bad mistake from those, really, wasn't it? It was you get 3 laps to serve your drive-through, and for some It's just not enough, I'm afraid. So, yeah, they were disqualified. Now I have seen that. I did see that earlier on, but something was going on at the time, so I didn't quite mention it. But now I've finally got time to mention it. It wasn't the fact that they gave up, it was the fact that they were disqualified. So hopefully they return in a couple of weeks at Kyalami, but because they would have been big players in this race, they would have got a top 10, I'm sure about that. Yeah.
They were in the top 10, as was, the likes of Matt Beavis as well. And it's been an unfortunate day for some. There have been incidents, and we definitely expected it here at Laguna Seca. We knew that it's a tricky track to navigate at the best of times, and we've seen 5-way battles going on, and it has been absolutely fantastic racing so far.
Yeah, it was. It has been fantastic racing so far. It's spread out a little bit now, but the gaps are slowly coming down. Mike Epps just took another 5/10 out of his teammate, and yeah, I'm hoping that they can both catch up to Miles Dixon, because Mike Epps, as this stint runs on, is continuing to close down. Just go on board with him for a moment right now and see really how it's going from inside the car. But as I said earlier, I can't imagine that these two teammates are going to actually battle each other, because, as I said, they're teammates and they don't often battle each other.
Yeah, and they need to be careful, because Trevor Jackson is only a further 7 seconds behind, so if they battle too much, Trevor might be able to close in. And, Miles Dixon is not far away. He's only 4 seconds ahead of Ross McGregor. Mike Epps is within a shout of taking P4, as long as Ross doesn't hold him up too much.
Yeah, that's exactly what they need to do here, really, because Mike Epps is closing on both of them. I believe that Miles Dixon is just a little bit faster than Ross McGregor right now. He does a 23.1 as he comes over the line now. Ross McGregor is languishing in the mid-23s with 23.3 on that time. 2 temps was taken out for Mike Epps there as well, so he's doing well. He's still getting these lap times down and getting that gap down. So, yeah, let's see how quickly it does indeed come down, but we're coming down towards the final half an hour of the race right now. 32 minutes left, in fact, and we're going to take our final commercial break. But when we come back, we will be running to the flag with no ad breaks or anything like that. It will just be the pure racing for the final half an hour. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the final moments in the GTR24 Sprint Series, round number 7 here at Laguna Seca.
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. Their 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between 2 people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the GTR 24-hour Sprint Series Round 7 here at Laguna Seca. And you join us as Mike Epps closes right onto the back of it. Here's a teammate, Ross McGregor. He's been closing in lap after lap. And, well, he took a second out of his teammate last time round. I think that was Ross McGregor getting... Nope, that was a back marker just getting well out the way. And now the two BMWs line discerned in 5th and 6th. And they can slowly try to close down Miles Dixon, who is only a further 4 seconds up the road. And Mike Epps is pulling a good half a second. The former touring car driver is right on the pace right now, and his pace is only second to the top three of Tiziano Brioni, Florian Haas, and Casper Henningsen. But last time round, Mike Epps a 24.1, and I think the back marker might have had a little bit of an influence on that last lap time, but still Miles Dixon in 4th place, 4 seconds ahead of Ross McGregor, and then Mike Epps, as you can see, pretty much on the back of his teammate. Trevor Jackson, a further 7 seconds behind, and he could try to close in, put in a 23.1 last time round, so took out a second of his deficit that he does have to the Simply Race Zan Show driver. Don't forget, both Simply Race drivers in the BMWs, and they're showing a strong performance for the German manufacturers who, well, German manufacturers complete the entirety of the top 7 with Hinsai in the lone Aston Martin. Tiziano Brioni still leads 13 seconds ahead of Florian Haas, who is then, well, a good 15 seconds ahead of Casper Henningsen, and still pulling on the top 2 just in a class of their own, as they were last time out at Suzuka as well, where Musto GD and Euronics just absolutely destroyed the competition to take 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, they were more than 30 seconds ahead of everybody else, so yeah, they really did destroy everyone else, and they're in the same order as they were in the last race as well. In fact, the top 3 are. It's the same podium arrangement as we saw 2 weeks ago at Suzuka, which is something we don't often see, really. Musto, Euronics, Burst Esport in the exact same positions as they were the week before, and yeah, that's really unheard of. To be honest, and also it's the second week in a row. It's a double in terms of seconds. It's the second time we've had an all manufacturer lockout on the podium, which has never happened in this series since. Well, it happened at the Hungaroring. We had much more variety at Bathurst, which was fantastic, and the Bathurst race was a very good one. But we've had it at the Hungaroring, and we've had it for the second week in a row here at Laguna Seca. Obviously, it was Mercedes locking it out at Suzuka, but the second time Porsche have locked out the podium here in the Sprint Series. So, some interesting car developments going on. Now, all right, I found them interesting anyway, and that's why I talk about them quite a lot. But yeah, it's
like a mini constructors championship where you the top 2 car results from each manufacturer every race, and just see who is doing the best at the end of the season. But this battle really starting to hold up, and there you go, Ross McGregor pulls out of the way. Mike Epps is relinquished up into 5th place, and not only is this good because Mike Epps can close into Miles Dixon, but he'll pull his teammate Ross McGregor along with him.
Yeah, or at least he's going to pull him away from Trevor Jackson, which is a bit of a concern for those guys at the moment, because Jackson is closing lap on lap to Ross McGregor, and you can already see McGregor just does not quite have the pace of Mike Epps. Mike Epps didn't start off too well, it has to be said. I noticed his first lap was up in the 25s. It really wasn't very good. I'm getting a little bit worried for him, but when he's in the groove, he really cannot be stopped right now. Can Miles Dixon stop him? That's the big question. But I guess the first question we have to answer is, can he get there? On current showing, I think he will do, and we're going to see a fantastic battle between them as Miles Dixon tries to hold off Mike Epps.
Yep, 25 minutes remaining, and Mike Epps closing in by talking about 7/10 every lap, so he's definitely got the pace to do it, and I reckon 10 minutes he'll be on the back of him.
Yeah, reckon so. Oh, sorry. I just thought you were saying something, but maybe not. I don't know. As we come towards the line, well, there you go. Nobody knows. As we go over the line, 23.7 for Miles Dixon. What's it going to be for Mike Epps? He's going to have a slight slipstream advantage, and he takes 5/10 out of Miles Dixon, does Mike Epps. They were interesting, but I think this gap is going to come together. I think these two cars are going to end up battling.
Yep, most certainly will do. What did Ross McGregor do? 24.3, so he lost about half a second to Miles Dixon. So he actually lost a second to Trevor Jackson. That gap is now 6 seconds. So we're going to have two battles on our hands in the final 15 minutes or so. One for 4th place and one for 6th place.
Yeah, that will be good, but can Trevor Jackson get there? That's what I'm less sure of. However, Ross McGregor really is falling off the pace right now. He drops a second. That's actually more than I thought at this point in the race.
Was that Miles Dixon running wide?
It could, well, it was as well. And now Mike Epps just gets straight through Miles Dixon. And so Mike Epps and Ross McGregor are through. So I didn't quite see what happened there. Maybe you'll have to comment on that, but Miles Dixon has dropped a couple of positions due to just one mistake.
So Miles Dixon, I just saw a random car in the gravel on the exit of turn 5. So Miles Dixon clearly just ran wide. Maybe he clipped there's a little sausage bump on the inside on the apex of turn 5. Maybe he took that and it sent him out wide, but it's cost him a good 5-6 seconds. He's now behind Ross McGregor, and well, he's in between Ross McGregor and Trevor Jackson. We are going to have a 3-way battle on for 5th place. This is going to be fantastic stuff.
Yeah, it is, and Miles Dixon is going to want to get ahead of Ross McGregor before Trevor Jackson gets there, because he wants to make this move before he has to start looking in these mirrors. When you're trying to overtake someone, looking in your mirrors at the same time is not very healthy. And it's not very effective either. So Mike Epps has been released, but Ross McGregor is going to try and do his teammate a favour here and hold back Miles Dixon, while Dixon himself, the Paul Simsport driver, will want to try and get ahead of McGregor before Trevor Jackson gets there. So this is an incredibly dynamic battle, and it's going to be very, very interesting to watch.
And don't get fooled, the car just behind these two isn't Trevor Jackson. That's Hind Sai, who's in 8th place. Right at the back in the corner of your shot, you can just sometimes make out, is it Trevor Jackson closing in slowly but surely. Hind Sai is actually putting out a decent pace compared to these two, but isn't falling back just a little bit. Mike Epps, though, still putting in some really quick lap times. He should have 4th, and the top 4 is practically set in stone, but this 3-way battle for 5th place does ensue.
It will do in a couple of laps. There's a huge slide for Miles Dixon on the rainy curve then. It's not raining here today, you understand, but it was very slippery and very slidey for Miles Dixon on that occasion. When stuck behind Ross McGregor like this, it's going to be difficult for the Londoner to actually get these moves done. And so will he be able to, and when will he be able to? That's the big question here. Can Trevor Jackson get involved? Let's see his lap time on the last lap. 23.7, a 4/10 improvement on the guys in front, but is that gap coming down quickly enough? Because we're into the final 20 minutes, or we will be very shortly. Is that gap coming down quickly enough? I'd have to say that he's going to have to close it a little bit quicker than that if he wants to do it.
Well, the fun thing is that the quickest man out of all of these guys was actually Hind Sai, who did a 23.583. So maybe we're going to be having a case of a backmarker trying to unlap themselves, which definitely add some spice to the mix.
Yeah, definitely would. And Hind Sai's really refound himself in the latter portion of this race. Not really sure how, but don't forget, if you're looking in the background of this shot for Trevor Jackson, then that Aston Martin is not the one you're looking for. It is another Porsche, as you can see by the badge on the left-hand side of your screen on the leaderboard. We're looking for another Porsche, so there's a lap car in between these two, but would you just look up, and there you go, there's the long shot. You can see Trevor Jackson himself, but good exit for Miles Dixon there, but look at the straight line speed of that BMW. There is just nothing the Porsche can do to really get onto the back of it. And would you just notice that it all just makes sense now? The Porsche is not used at circuits where there is a lot of straight line sections, because it really is not very good on them.
No, and this is why we saw the Porsches so strong at Hungary as well. And we talked about the Porsche versus BMW battle and where the Porsche drivers have to try to find that move. And you have to do it down into turn 10, turn 11 at the end of the long twisty section where you can really close in onto the BMWs and then get ahead before you get onto that start-finish straight. Maybe even turn 5 could be a bit of a long shot, but also possible for the Porsches to have a go.
They're very strong in the final sector where things get really twisty indeed, but the unfortunate thing for them is the final sector doesn't present many overtaking opportunities. It does at the hairpin, but as we've seen earlier on, it can create controversial incidents, notably with Michael O'Brien, who got a drive-through penalty, and I know you've all been voting on who you think was at fault for that one. Nobody's got to the bottom of it, so it's a real racing incident, but Michael O'Brien was given a penalty for it. But now we have traffic to contend with. That is one of the Hondas, either Johannes Weiss or Sascha Geiminhardt. Not really sure if I pronounced that correctly. It's actually the latter, the 557 in the way at the moment. Let's hope that the Japanese-built Honda gets out the way in due course. Into turn number 2 they go, and not just yet, but I'm sure that Geiminhardt will get out of the way before this battle gets too heated.
Yep, and good lap in from Ross McGregor, able to pull out a few tenths over Miles Dixon and over Trevor Jackson as well. Actually, he was a tenth slower than Trevor, but he's maintaining his pace. That being said, though, quickest man on the circuit right now, Mike Epps, 22.788. And as I say that, Tiziano Brioni just goes the quicker. So Mike Epps is right at the pace of the front runners. Sadly for him, though, he is 27 seconds behind Casper Henningsen.
You know, his teammate has not put him in the best position he could have possibly hoped for, but obviously he will still be thankful for that 4th position, because without the help of his teammate, somebody else to drive for him, then that's not going to be possible, of course. But it's quite.
These drivers wish that they could do a stint, pit, and then do the remainder of the race. I know exactly what goes through their heads.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Time for themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point. To be fair, but you know, got to have 2 drivers, and these guys do. 17 minutes to go then, as we come across the line once more. Yeah, we'll see really in the coming races how Mike Epps and whoever is driving with can do, because it seems to chop and change around. They've had 2 podiums so far this season. One was at Brands Hatch at the very second round of this season, and then they had another podium at Bathurst. It was, yes, it was, and that was when he was partnering with Tobin Lee. So that has given them 8th place in the championship, just in behind the 37 Rookie Monsters car in terms of the championship, and behind their sister Simply Race car, so they may be able to jump ahead of both of those in the standings if the race turns out how it is right now.
Yeah, it's quite interesting as well, because they've only got 3-point scoring finishes this entire season, and you know, they're still up in 8th place in the championship. So when they do get points, they do get bigger points, and they've done well, and they're starting to come into things a little bit better, and it's being quite interesting. It feels like the entire championship kind of flipped after Hungary, where all of a sudden Euronics and Musto GD just seem to be in a class of their own, and I'm not sure whether that's them improving or Burst Esport Complexity losing a bit of pace, having switched over from their preferred Lexus cars to, you know, the likes of the Audi and now the Porsche as well.
Yeah, and they've been chopping and changing around a lot in recent races. In the last 4 races, including this one, they've used a different car. They went from Lexus at the Hungaroring. They stuck to their guns. It didn't really turn out very well for them because they came 5th. Then they changed car to the Audi for Bathurst. Turned out pretty well because they won. They were driving a Mercedes a couple of weeks ago. That turned out all right. And this one seems to have just been turning out all right as well. But you're right. They were trying to stick to the Lexus early on in the season. I think they've realised that nobody else is really going for their strategy. It's better to just chop and change rather than stick to one car throughout the whole of the season.
Yep. But it's always been a case of damage and limitation for Casper Henningsen, and I'm just trying to wonder, where was this pace from Musto GD and Euronics at the start of the season? And I mean, Euronics, you know, no points in the first 3 rounds of the season, and then since then it's been a first, a second. So you know, once they started getting the points, it's been a pretty strong showing from them.
Yeah, they ran well at Spa before a driver change issue, so they weren't able to score any points in that race, of course. And since the round number 4 at the Hungaroring, they've really taken this championship by the scruff of the neck, for not finishing lower than second in any of the races since round 4. So they've been doing incredibly well. It looks like that record is going to continue on into its 4th race, and that's a remarkable assembly of points for those guys. Nearly 80 points in the space of 4 races, which is not bad considering it's an average of just under 20. That's a pretty good average to be having over a 4-race period, but definitely playing their way into this championship. They're going to gain about 3 points on Burst Esport. Came into the day 49 points behind, so they're going to need to take bigger chunks out of the 94 team, but 3 points is a start at least.
Yeah, and to be honest, that is the best 4 consecutive race performance that any team has had this season. You know, the second highest would be Burst Esport, who had 3 wins and a 4th place. In fact, that might be higher. It's close, so it might be the second best 4 consecutive race results.
I think it might be slightly second best, but it's not bad anyway. The point still stands, and it makes it even more remarkable because they came back from a 3 or 2 race hiatus, having not scored points in any of the first 3. To be able to do that is quite astonishing, as Miles Dixon, after his mistake, looks like he's regrouped and regathered. Now he's going down the front straight. Going to try and dive Miles Dixon into the Andretti hairpin. Excuse me, but you see the straight line speed of that BMW. No matter how good the run Dixon gets out of that final corner, there is just no chance into that hairpin that he's going to be able to do it, because the straight is too long and that BMW is too powerful for the Porsche behind it.
It is indeed. Let's see whether Trevor Jackson can close in. He gained a few tenths, but again, it's
Dixon,
not enough.
Dixon's off the road. He clipped that curb massively at turn number 4 there. And now look at Trevor Jackson. He gets through down on the inside. So 2 mistakes in the space of 15 minutes for Miles Dixon. And they were both caused by sausage curbs on the inside of corners. So now he's got even more work to do to even regain that 6th position. And at the moment, he looks pretty rattled. It doesn't look like it's particularly promising for him at the moment.
To be honest, Trevor Jackson isn't that much quicker than Miles Dixon. We could still have a battle on 4th, 5th or 6th place. So let's just see whether Miles Dixon can recompose himself and start to find some pace and take the battle back to Trevor Jackson.
Yeah, we'll see if either of them can catch Ross McGregor as well, because that gap is not too big. It's just under 5 seconds between Ross McGregor and Trevor Jackson. Is it going to close? We'll have to find out, really, but Miles Dixon definitely looks rattled by what has happened. Don't be fooled, by the way, in the background. Actually, don't be fooled by Hinsai in the background. He is a position behind. He's in 8th position, but he's a lap down. So we're not going to be worrying about him in terms of this battle, because he is a lap down on the 2 in front of him, which is a shame. But it's good to know for those guys that they have the pace for the coming races.
Yep. A little more than 10 minutes remaining for round 7 of the GTR 24-hour Sprint series. And, well, I think Ross McGregor should have 5th in the bag. He's 4 seconds ahead of Trevor Jackson. And even if Trevor Jackson closes him by half a second a lap, I don't think it's going to be enough.
No, I don't think it's going to be enough either. The gaps are too big, and the time left in the race is just not enough for that to really close. So we'll see, but Tiziano Brioni still leading. We haven't looked at him for a while, but he's just been pounding around and even extending that margin to Florian Haas. And again, stayed out of trouble, shown their pace, and it looks like they're going to take a well-deserved victory for the 2nd week in a row.
Yep, and then they'll be looking to make it 3 from 3. And maybe that 3rd win might be enough to see them jump to the top step of the championship. As, well, right now they are closing in 10 points the last time out at Suzuka. They're now 25 points behind, and after this race will be 15. That is, of course, if Casper Henningsen holds on to 3rd place.
Yeah, and I think he will do at the moment. He's got nearly 30 seconds on Mike Epps, despite being closed in on and despite being one of the slower cars throughout the top 10 right now. It doesn't look like it's going to quite come down quickly enough, so Henningsen seems to be safe in third position. That will give him a 15-point lead heading into the next round. But if you just look at the standings, they are the only team to have scored points in every single race so far this season, and that is probably why they're top of the standings right now, because consistency is so important over a championship.
Yeah, the only other team that is close to that is AAA, because the only 2 races they didn't score points are the ones that they didn't attend. You know, Simply race, they got really close, and Musto GD, arguably you should say that they should have points in every race if the disaster of Bathurst didn't occur, but we've talked about this before. Burst Esport Simplex, they have that consistency, they stay out of trouble, and that, at the end of the day, that's why they're leading the championship.
Yeah, exactly, and there's a lot of what-ifs in this championship. You just think, what if Musto hadn't been turned at Bathurst? You think, what if Burst Esport didn't have such a disaster at Suzuka? Would they have had the pace to stick with the front guys? Well, we'll never know, really. What if they'd picked a different car at the Hungaroring and gone with the Porsche, gone with the masses, and tried to take down everybody else who were using Porsches? They stuck to their guns. What if they hadn't done that? So there's a lot of what ifs in this championship, and there's a lot of what ifs in every championship, because not every team can possibly maximise every race from a championship. If you do, then it's quite remarkable, and I can't think of any championship performance from anybody anywhere where they've perfected every single race. So these things do happen, but fortunately for Burst Esport, their bad luck has hit them less hard than Musto's has hit theirs.
Yep, and yeah, you're bang on with that, Ewan. You just can't think of a single championship where one driver has been perfect all season long. I don't know if Schumacher ever had, practically a perfect season. I think, 2019 Marc Marquez in MotoGP was close. If Argentina didn't happen, I would have said that was practically a perfect season. It would have been, 17 wins and 2 second places, which, I mean, you can't really get more perfect than that. But there's always something. There's always a little something that nags. And we're all human at the end of the day. Mistakes do get made, and it's just a case of not making as many mistakes as your rivals. And you can say that, hey, you didn't win the championship, we gave it to you, but it's the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it all works out in the end. But yeah, as I said, nobody can say they've had a perfect season. Even the championship leaders. We are going to get over 80 laps in on this race right now. Tiziano Brioni just heading his way towards turn 6 at the moment, I believe. No, he's not. That's turn 5. He's heading towards. He's got Johannes Weiss.
Has made a mistake.
Oh,
he's behind Trevor Jackson now.
Oh, right. So there must have been a big mistake there. He's also had a pretty poor lap on the last lap as well. He did a 26.0, so I wonder if the tyres have completely lost the plot here.
Well, we'll have to see. They did pit rather early. They pitted after about 55 minutes, I think. So these tyres will be slightly more worn than Trevor Jackson and Miles Dixon. But let's just see what this lap is looking like, whether Ross McGregor is back on the pace or not. I'm not sure if Trevor Jackson passed him on this lap or the previous lap. 24.9 for Ross McGregor. What will Miles Dixon do? 24.1. So a 4-second gap from 67th and almost a second on the last lap.
Yeah, that is a bit of a disaster for Ross McGregor. I believe there was a mistake on the last lap, and I think the pass did happen for Trevor Jackson on the last one. I would say as well that Miles Dixon could get through here, but I think his tyres have pretty much gone as well. He did a 24.1 on the last lap, so he's closing on Ross McGregor, but I don't think he's quickly enough. And if those two get together, then brace yourself for an accident, because those two look all over the place with the tyres they've got under their cars at the moment.
Inside might have an outside chance of getting 6th, although he is over a lap down on the man ahead of him, Mr. Miles Dixon. So let's just see how this does evolve. If Miles Dixon can take another second out of Ross McGregor this time round, I'd say Miles Dixon could take it, but it looks like they're both lapping at similar pace. If anything, Ross McGregor is lapping a little bit quicker than Miles Dixon right now.
Yeah, we'll see what the times are as they come over the line this time. They're about 10 seconds away, coming through the final corner. So, yeah, there's Ross McGregor just doing it now, and then Miles Dixon will do it in a moment as well. But they've got a bit of traffic. I'll say traffic, that's Trevor Jackson. He's not going to be catching that Porsche. So 24.5 for Ross McGregor, and over the line it's 24.8 for Miles Dixon. So these two are really both falling away, and I feel like everybody really, apart from Casper Henningsen, who's still in the 22s, everybody is in the 23s and 24s. So people have pitted early and misjudged this one a bit, because their tyre life has really gone away in the final 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, Mike Epps, he was running in the 22s last time round. This most recent lap was a 23.7. Tiziano Brioni and Florian Haas are in the high 22s. And I think the top four are just, well, the top three at least right now are just in a class of their own with regards to that. Oh, practically identical.
One of the Porsches was around there. I don't know who it was, but I believe it was Daniel Frommel in the number 58. It was. Just a big spin there, spun in front of Mike Epps, and he nearly clattered into him. That's why I was getting so excited, but fortunately for those guys, they all managed to avoid it, and they're all on their way again.
Yeah, and I think Leon Otoki's in the pits.
Oh, he's been there for ages. That's just a timing glitch for us, because he couldn't get their driver change to work, I don't think, with Lucas Schmidt. Sorry, not Lucas Schmidt, the other one. I've forgotten his name. Marko Pisic, that was his name. Yeah, that's...
Marko Pisic was in the car at the start, right?
Yeah, so they had a driver change issue where Leon Otoki couldn't do whatever, so he's stuck in the pit lane for us now. Obviously, you can't see this at home, by the way, yeah, he's been there a while now. That's why he's kind of stuck.
Because it was coming up on my screen as he was in 11th. I was thinking, wait, how is he in 11th and in the pits? So it was really confusing, and now I see that he's only done 46 laps, so that would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, it would. It's a little bit confusing, but we'll get there in the end. As Miles Dixon really is coming under pressure from Hinsai. I know they're a lap apart, but it just shows how much Miles Dixon's tyres have fallen apart here. It could be 2 or 3 laps to go when they get into the line. Don't forget, this is a short circuit, so it's any number of laps, and we're going to get over 85 laps in this race, which is a lot of times around here. These guys are going to be getting dizzy before long. Oh yeah, he's gone off there. Hinsai in the background.
Well, Johannes Weiss is a further 40 seconds down the road, or actually 50 seconds, so that's not really going to affect anything. 2 minutes remaining. Florian Haas in second. Has been an uneventful drive for him. Tim Yarshall was the one who had all the fun and was the one who picked up the drive-through penalty, and you have to think, if that drive-through penalty didn't happen, Musto GD and Euronics, they'd still be battling tooth and nail right now for the lead. And you know, once again, I feel that we have been robbed of what could have been a titanic battle for the win.
Yeah, yet again, we're asking what would have happened without that Euronics drive-through. And that's the second round in a row that we've been saying that. Because last week, if you remember, we had that incident between Yarshall and Brioni, where Brioni was sent into a half spin at Degner 2, of the Suzuka circuit, of course. And you've just got to ask yourself, they would have won that race without that, probably. They had the pace to win that race without that drive-through penalty. And I believe they had the pace to win it again here today. I think it's closer. I think that the paces of these two cars around Laguna Seca are closer, but I still think that Euronics could have 3 race wins this season, if not for one slight mistake in these races. And that's the difference between Musto and Euronics at the moment. Euronics just making that one slight mistake, that slight error that's giving them a drive-through and costing them a lot, whereas Musto aren't doing those, and that's why they've got potentially 2 race wins in the last 2 rounds.
I'll be interested to see whether Florian Haas or Lucas Schmidt will be tasked with the opening stint next time out at Kyalami. That being said, though, 24 seconds, Tiziano Brioni will be able to get across the line to start his final lap. So it's just a victory lap for Tiziano Brioni. 15 seconds they're clear. Well, actually, it's a bit more, to be honest. It's about 15 seconds, and all he has to do is just keep it on the circuit and take another win for Musto.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of traffic to deal with on the last lap here as Daniel Front has got a drive-through penalty. I think that was for speeding or something, but he's been in the pits and it's allowed both now Butler Powell cars to get up into the points, and that's the first double points finish I think they've had all season. They've had a bit of a disastrous season. Excuse me, they've had a bit of a disastrous season. The number 556 has only managed to 5th position at the best, and the 557 best result is only a 10th. It looks like they're going to equal that here today with a new driver, of course, as you can see.
Oh, no,
I don't know when.
Dixon, he's right on the back of Ross McGregor.
Oh, yeah.
He has engine issues.
Oh, Ross McGregor slowing down massively now. He's going to get lapped by the race leaders, so Brioni's going to take the flag. Ross McGregor has got real issues. Is it a fuel issue? Is it an engine issue? We'll have to work that one out here in a moment, but it looks like Miles Dixon is going to get that 6th position, but through the final corner, here we go. Musto GD Sports, the number 71, and Tiziano Brioni is going to take his 2nd race win in 2 races.
What a race, what a performance from Musto GD, their 2nd win in a row. Tiziano Brioni will take the flag for the Italian outfit. Florian Haas, a good drive from him to secure 2nd, and again, chipping away at the lead that Burst Esport Complexity have at the top of the standings, now down to just at 15 points, Ewan.
Yeah, that is a very exciting prospect coming into the rest of this season, that is for sure. As Mike Epps comes out the final corner to claim a very commendable 4th position there. And he's weaving, pretty pleased with that one. But yeah, this championship continues to hot up every single race. It's getting closer. Now, Musto GD Esports have taken points away from Burst Esport in the last 2 races. And that is a very interesting thing because now the gap is only 15 points. So the nerves are going to be jangling for Burst Esport here. They're going to be looking over the shareholders, and I'm sure, well, I think anyway, that they are going to be a little bit worried about it.
Yeah, and we're talking a case of about 45 points separating the top 3. That can go absolutely anyway. 1 retirement for Burst Esports Complexity, it brings everything super close. If Euronics can get a win, Musto GD outside the top 3, Burst Esports outside the top 3, all of a sudden we have a 3-way battle on, and the championship is at such a crucial point right now.
It really is, and the next round at Kyalami, as we keep mentioning, in 2 weeks' time is going to be not one to be missed, so make sure you tune in, of course, from 7:30 Central European time. But we're going to take a break now after that race, the 2 hours of at Laguna Seca here for the GTR24 Sprint Series. Don't forget, if you're a driver and you're watching right now, you can pop yourself in for an interview after this race. It will be very nice to talk to some of the drivers who have been in this race. Whether you drove 1st or 2nd, doesn't really matter. You can pop yourself in and we'll give an interview in the post-race show that we will bring to you after this commercial break. We'll be back in a couple of moments with some driver interviews. Don't go anywhere.
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. Their 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8, built from 80 by 40mm profiles, and the high-tier V12, built from 160 by 40mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between 2 people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Welcome back to the GTR24 Sprint Series post-race show here from round 7 at Laguna Seca. We were just talking in the break there, by the way, and we'll just briefly mention it now. No Bentleys today. Yusuf. Not really sure why that. I don't know what he left out. I'm not really sure why that was, but yeah, no Bentleys in this particular race. But as we were saying there, difficult for the Porsches in particular to overtake because of their straight line speed, and the narrowness of this circuit made things very, very difficult.
I think it's the teams just heard how much I dislike Bentleys, so as a result they don't drive Bentleys. And one team that definitely haven't driven any Bentleys, they like the Lexuses, although they've kind of changed their allegiance recently, is Burst Esport Simplexity. Jesper Pedersen joins us in the commentary booth. Jesper, a good 3rd place for you, damage limitation. Are you guys happy with the result?
I think you're never really happy with P3, to be honest, but it was the maximum result we could get today, with very limited running up to the race. So for that point of view, I'm fairly happy with P3, but there's room for improvement.
And you say that there's room for improvement. You guys were leading the championship and you've been consistent every race. You know, you haven't got yourself involved in anything at all. But recently, Musto and Euronics, they've just been finding this little bit of pace. And what do you think it is? Where do you think the time is for you to find, or how do you close the gap back up?
It's difficult to say. In the beginning of the season, we were on pair with those guys on pace, both in qualifying and the race. But they slowly started moving away, especially in qualifying. They have a lot of and yeah, we tried different cars, some different setup changes. But both me and Kasper is iRacing guys normally, and we don't have a clue what we are doing with these Assetto Corsa setups. So we are still learning. Today it looked like from the corkscrew and to the finish line we were on par with P1 and P2, but until the corkscrew, the first two sectors, especially in the slow corners, they just moved away on acceleration. So that's where we're gonna focus next.
Right, yeah, they were definitely very quick in that race indeed. Just talk us through your idea or your thinking behind changing the driver between qualifying and the race, because that's not something I don't think I've seen throughout the whole of this season. I've definitely not seen it from you guys. So what were you thinking with you starting the car but Kasper qualifying it? So what was your thought behind all that?
I had a lot. Had very limited leading up to the race. I've been on vacation and just drove 3 hours home to do the race, and Casper has done the preparation, so he was naturally quicker and more confident than I was. But he felt that he was maybe last race when he started the race a bit too safe in some situation and lost us time. So he thought that I should take the start. And I think, in turn one we saw that experience was key to get around the big pileup.
Yeah, it was certainly a messy start, to say the least. Now, I just want to look forward to, very briefly, to a couple of weeks in advance here. We're going to Kyalami, which is a circuit that I can't imagine many people have driven that much around, to be honest. As I said, it's 2 weeks away. It's relatively new. Vamped and whatever, it's in ACC. So how are you feeling about the South African circuit down there at Kyalami?
It's going to be a tough one. The track doesn't exist in iRacing, so I've never done a lap on it. So I'm not sure if Casper has done any laps. It's going to be a steep learning curve, but I think we just need to prepare even more, and then see how it goes.
I think a lot of people are going to be in the same boat, to be honest, because it's, as I said, it's very, very new indeed. But Jesper, thank you very much for coming to talk to us. It's been a pleasure, and good luck for a couple of weeks away in Kyalami.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Now we're going to speak to our race winner now. As I said, the Musto driver Tiziano Brioni, driver for the number 71 Musto GD esports car. Fortunately, Tiziano, he didn't have a whole great deal to do during that race. You were often lapping on your own, trying to keep the 57 Euronics car at bay, but often keeping to your own pace and staying within your own limits there. So it must have been a pretty satisfying stint and a satisfying win for the team.
Yeah, it was a satisfying win. I only managed the work that Pierluca did, and the race was so good. Basically, we have a really good fight with the 54 car, if I'm not wrong. I was so disappointed for the crash because it was a really good fight, but we touched after turn one, and after that we losing the position and then drive through for the other car. And that's it, basically. We're moving forward, so motivated for the next race. Even if it is a track that I don't love so much, but we try to do our best.
Now, I just want to talk a little bit in depth about that incident down there at turn number 1, because it didn't happen on our cameras, unfortunately. We managed to miss it somehow. So just talk us through really what happened between you guys, because the Euronics car did actually get a drive-through penalty for it. So what actually happened to the both of you?
Yeah, basically, Pierluca arrived a little bit so wide on the first turn, and Yasha go into the inside, into the middle of turn 1. When Pierluca goes to take the line for the second turn, Yasha touch, and there was a spin for Pierluca, and Yasha go away. So after that, he took a drive-through, and we pass.
So, was it a similar kind of incident to Alex Albon and Hamilton back at Brazil last year?
Yeah, more or less, yes. But we were onto the inside and the other one was onto the outside, so reverse positions, basically.
Okay.
And just one word or a few words on the championship as well, because that has closed in by another 10 points now. You've got 10 points closer to Burst Esport now, so the gap's 15 points. We've got 5 races to go, so what are your thoughts heading into the next round about that?
Yeah, we closed the gap. We were so unlucky into the first races. In the first race we missed the right car, and we had crashes in 2 of the 4 races. And on the other ones we did some mistakes that we could avoid. So now is a positive moment, and we try to go forward with that. As I said, Kyalami is a track that I don't love so much because it's a so hard track with particular turns, and we try to do our best, but competition is so tight, and we try to take the same points of Burst Esport and maybe arrive at the last race that for fighting with the championship.
Yeah, and good luck with the championship indeed heading into Kyalami. Thank you very much for talking to us, Tiziano, and yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time at Kyalami.
Nothing. Bye.
Now moving down to Trevor Jackson in the number 98, the sister Musto GD course car, and yeah, so we're going to get a word with him now. Trevor, it was. You were chasing down cars for a lot of that stint there. You managed to get past a couple of them in the end, so just talk us through how it was for you in the end.
It was a bit sketchy at times because we had a little bit of damage from the spin that Daniele Primavera had in his stint. And then the tires started to fall off a little bit, but luckily I was able to keep it a little more consistent than the guys ahead of us, and we just capitalized on their mistakes.
Yeah, I guess it was a bit weird picking your way through everybody off the circuit. Just want to ask you about what the championship aspirations are. Well, maybe not the championship, but what are your aspirations for the rest of the season, really? Because maybe the championship's not a goal, maybe that's not something you're really interested in, but maybe it is. So, yeah, what do you want to happen in the next 5 races? Is it a race win? Is it a championship position? What are you aiming for?
I think more participation, to be honest, because this is my first race with the team. Alessio is Daniela's main teammate, and I was able to fill in for him on this race. I think a podium in the next few races would be nice. Maybe backing up Tiziano for a 1-2 or something, but yeah, I think that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, it would indeed. And speaking of which, in the next couple of rounds, what about Kyalami? We've a lot of the guys are fearing it. It seems Pedersen was not particularly pleased about it, and Brioni was even less pleased that we had to go for it next couple of weeks. So, how are you and your teammates feeling about the prospect of driving at Kyalami?
I'm not sure how my teammates are feeling, but I personally love the track and I love the flow of it. So if I get the opportunity to race it, I'd relish the opportunity.
Right, well, we'll see you there in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much for talking to us, Trevor Jackson from the number 98 Musto GD course car.
Thank you for having me.
And there you go, there's all the drivers out of the way. We're going to get to race control now as well. And Peter wants to say something as well. I'm not sure what he's going to come out with, but John is... sorry. I'm not sure what John has to say either here. Coming to represent race control, him and Nick Newcomb, of course, have been here adjudicating over everybody. How was that race for you guys up in race control, John? There was a particularly quiet second half of the race in terms of incidents, but you had plenty to do in the first half, it's safe to say.
Yeah, first would like to announce to the team that it's important if you feel mistreated during the race or somebody actually drive into you or something like that. It's really important that you actually go to the race control and report the incident so we can actually have a look at it, because sometimes we might not see it from the side of race control, and we might not be looking at the correct car. But one thing that's also very important for the race as well is that all the teams really need now to actually respect the blue flag rules, and this is something we really going to be more hard on, because it actually destroys the race for other teams. So yeah, but pretty much for the race control today, it's not been that too busy, but in the first half, as you also mentioned, it was like a couple of minutes pretty hectic, but it's not that much actually, so it's fine.
Now, the incident that everybody was talking about throughout the race, the most on-the-fence incident, well, it could go either way, really, is what I'm trying to say, with this one. It was down at the final hairpin between Michael O'Brien and Daniele Primavera. Lots of different opinions on it. Whose fault was it? And was it a penalty or not? Just talk us through race control's decision to give Michael O'Brien a drive-through penalty in the end, because that's the decision you came to. So what was your thinking behind that?
I was actually not the one who gave it. It was actually Nick Newcomb who gave it. I was actually not looking at the incident, so I can't really not commentate on it. I was doing other stuff while that happened, unfortunately.
All right, no,
So sorry about that, but I was not around for that.
We remain, well, I don't want to say confused because we know why, but I don't know. It's just, it was basically a 50-50 vote, wasn't it? Down the comments there, we had a vote on it. Yeah. Down in the what you lot did, who you're watching, had a vote on whose fault it was, and yeah, nobody can decide.
Yeah, when I spoke with Nick, he was pretty clear about the whole issue in that situation, so that's why he judged as he did. And I really do not want to inflict on what I saw and stuff like that. It's just a thing that Nick has the word, and that's how it actually is. So
yeah, that is fair enough, and there's Nick's decision. Yeah, so thanks to John as well for coming up to talk to us from race control and things going on throughout the race. But as I said, it's pretty quiet throughout the second half of the race, so a good day in race control, I'd imagine.
I think Peter has something to say as well.
Yeah, he does. So yeah, I'm gonna hand over to Peter for a second while he says his part now.
I can't hear my own audio level, so I don't know how this goes out on the stream. But first of all, I want to thank all the teams, thank all the drivers, and especially I want to thank the drivers who showed up for the post-race interviews here. There's now, with the new TV deals coming up, there's going to be a lot more of interviews for the drivers. And I'm just going to ask the drivers to please pay attention to your email addresses, because we're going to contact you, and not only us are going to contact you, but other people are going to contact you for interviews through those email addresses. So please make sure that you have your main contact email address listed as the email address of your drivers or team, so that these guys can actually get a hold of you. That's quite important. Yeah, a lot more stuff is going to be going on. A lot more stuff is going to be going on leading up to the races as well for the rest of the season. A lot more stuff is going to be going on leading up to the EEVC races as well. So there's just basically going to be a lot more content around the teams, and you're going to be contacted by some people who we haven't introduced yet on our team as well. So don't be afraid that you're suddenly seeing a new name that's not announced in any news or anything on the website yet. We'll get to that. But just make yourself available for the benefit of the entire series and your own team as well. I want to remind people that this is now already going out to millions of viewers around the world, and this contract now opens that up even more. So if your team has sponsors, it's very okay for you to thank your sponsors when you're going into the post-race interviews. So just to hand on your kind of thankfulness towards the people who are funding all of this and all of your teams and all this show, just try to remember to thank your sponsors as well, just as a professional courtesy. So I think that does it for me. That was all that I had to say. This, of course, is going to come out in the highlights video, which I believe is very close to already being in production. Each individual interview is going to have its own video, I believe, as well. So lots of content, lots of new stuff coming up on the website. So we're all looking forward to it. This is going to be big changes in the very, very short future for all of us, both in the team behind the GTR24H stuff and for you as teams and drivers in our events as well. So all good things to everyone. Stay safe out there.
Yeah, lots of new content coming up and lots of new stuff happening around the GTR24 right now. And don't forget to tune in a couple of weeks' time to the Kyalami race. It's going to be a very interesting one indeed. Looking forward to seeing how that one comes up, because I've never commentated on a race at Kyalami, and that's going to be a first. It's going to be a first for a lot of these guys, judging by what the guys have been saying to us. So we'll see how it goes. Don't forget to tune in. I believe it's late August actually for the next race of the EEWC. 21st to 23rd of August, the 24 hours of Matsushaka is only a month away now, so the teams will be starting to ramping up the practice for that now, and we'll of course be broadcasting that one, so don't miss that, and make sure you come back in a couple of weeks' time for the GTR24 Sprint Series here at Kyalami. But that'll do it for this broadcast here, the Laguna Seca race. I've been Ewan O'Leary commentating alongside Yusuf Bin Sahel. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. Make sure you catch it, but until then, we'll see you soon. Goodbye for now.
Communication. It started out as a conversation between two people, but as time went by and people's needs became greater, they developed more ways to communicate. Businesses today need to minimize incomplete connections. Therefore, it is critical that they provide optimal service. Xilinx desktop, mobile and web applications can process everything from normal calls and callbacks to chats, emails, and social media inquiries. Let Xilinx liberate your business.
Simplexity is a Danish designer and manufacturer of high-grade sim racing platforms. There are 3 different levels of platforms come in a variety of colors and configurations. Choose from the V4, built from 40 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles, the V8 built from 80 by 40 mm profiles, and the high-tier V12 built from 160 by 40 mm extruded aluminium profiles. Prices range from 470 to 750 euros. Go to facebook.com/simplexity.eu and start a messenger chat to inquire more about the options for colors and customization.